The next 2.5 hours contain no information you need. None of it will help you tomorrow, solve a problem, or improve your life. It is almost interesting, but not quite. The kind of trivia that slips through the cracks of your brain immediately. If you are still awake in 10 minutes, you are doing it wrong. Let's begin with the quietest fact we have. There are exactly 1,440 minutes in a day, which means by the time you wake up, you will have missed most of them. The average pencil can draw a continuous line for about 35 miles. That's the distance from one side of a small city to the other, all from that little wooden stick. A single pencil can produce roughly 50,000 words before it runs out, assuming you write in a standard size. The smell of old books, that dusty vanilla scent you notice when you open a vintage novel, comes from the breakdown of the paper's chemical components. Lignin and cellulose in the pages break down over time, releasing organic compounds that smell like vanilla and almonds. It's essentially the book's own aging process, happening slowly over decades. The number 4 is the only numerical word in English that has the same number of letters as its value. You write it with 4 letters, and it represents 4 things. Every other number from 1 to 10 has a different letter count than its value, making 4 a quiet exception in the system. That small dot sitting above a lowercase I or j has a proper name. It's called a tittle, a word that comes from the Latin term for a small mark. The tittle distinguishes these letters from similar ones like L or T, though in casual handwriting it's often the first thing to get sloppy. Before erasers existed, writers used breadcrumbs to remove pencil marks. You would take a soft piece of bread, squeeze it into a ball, and rub it across the paper to lift the graphite. This worked reasonably well, but it left tiny crumbs everywhere and was far less precise than the rubber erasers we use today. The longest sentence ever printed in a novel contains 823 words. It appears in William Faulkner's Absalom, Absalom, a book known for its long, winding prose. That single sentence runs for more than a page, taking the reader through a complex series of clauses without a period to let them rest. Paper can only be folded in half about 7 times before it becomes physically impossible to fold further. Each fold doubles the thickness, and by the 7th fold, the stack is too thick and the paper too small to continue. This holds true for standard paper sizes, though very thin tissue paper can sometimes manage 1 or 2 extra folds. The word bookkeeper has 3 sets of consecutive double letters. It's spelled B-O-O-K-K-E-E-P-E-R, with the 2 O's, 2 K's, and 2 E's sitting right next to each other. It's one of the few common English words with this unusual spelling pattern, and it's often cited in spelling bees and word puzzles. The first book ever printed in what is now the United States was a hymn book, not a Bible. It was published in 1640 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, by the Puritan settlers. The book was intended for church use, but it wasn't the religious text you might expect. It was a collection of metrical psalms for singing during services. The standard yellow color of a number 2 pencil has an interesting origin. In the late 19th century, pencil makers wanted to distinguish their best quality graphite, which came from China, and the color yellow was associated with Chinese royalty. The association stuck, and now yellow pencils are the default for schools and offices around the world. The study of handwriting is called graphology, though its scientific validity is often questioned. Graphologists analyze the size, slant, and pressure of letters to infer personality traits. It's a quiet field that has been largely replaced by forensic document examination in practical applications. The first pencils were made by wrapping graphite in string or sheepskin, rather than encasing it in wood. This method was messy and impractical, but it was the earliest way to hold the graphite without getting it on your hands. The wooden pencil didn't become common until the 17th century. The word paper comes from the Greek word papyrus, which was a plant used to make writing material in ancient Egypt. The term traveled through Latin and French before arriving in English with roughly the same meaning. It's a linguistic trace of the earliest writing surfaces still in use today. A standard sheet of printer paper weighs about 5 grams, which means a ream of 500 sheets weighs around 2.5 kilograms. That weight doesn't change much regardless of the paper's color or finish, though thicker papers like cardstock are noticeably heavier. The process of making paper from wood pulp was first developed in China around 2,000 years ago, but it didn't reach Europe for another 1,000 years. The knowledge traveled slowly along trade routes, and by the time it arrived in the West, the Chinese had already been making paper for centuries. The first writing instruments were not pens or pencils, but styluses, made from bone or metal, used to scratch marks into clay tablets or wax surfaces. These early styluses were durable, but limited to the materials they could mark. The invention of ink and quills didn't come until much later. The typeface Times New Roman was commissioned by the Times newspaper in 1931 to improve readability in narrow columns. It's still one of the most widely used fonts today, appearing in books, magazines, and academic papers. The font's design was based on older typefaces but adjusted for modern printing. Inkjet printers spray tiny droplets of ink onto paper at a rate of thousands of droplets per second. Each droplet is only a few micrometers in diameter, smaller than the width of a human hair. This precise spraying creates the letters and images we see on the printed page. The largest book in the world weighs over 300 pounds and measures more than 6 feet tall. It was printed in 2016 and contains images of the Himalayan mountains. The book is so large that it requires a special stand to display it properly, and it can't be held by a single person. The word pamphlet comes from an old French term that meant a small folded sheet of paper. Originally, pamphlets were unbound booklets used for political or religious commentary. The term has broadened over time to include any short printed work, but the original meaning was quite specific. The first commercially successful typewriter was introduced in 1873 and used the QWERTY keyboard layout, which we still use today. The layout wasn't designed for speed, but to prevent the mechanical arms from jamming by placing common letter pairs apart from each other. The term newsprint refers to the low-cost paper used for newspapers, which is made from mechanical wood pulp rather than chemical pulp. This process retains more lignin, which makes the paper yellow and brittle over time. It's why old newspapers turn brown and fall apart after a few decades. A blank notebook contains enough paper to hold approximately 2 million characters of handwriting, depending on the line spacing and margin size. That's roughly the length of a novel, all compressed into a small bound collection of pages. Each page serves as a quiet container for many words. The first paper mill in the Americas was established in Mexico City in 1575, nearly 2 centuries before the first mill in the American colonies. The Spanish brought paper-making technology to the New World, where it spread slowly across the continent. The word glossary comes from the Greek word glossa, meaning tongue or language, and it refers to a collection of terms with their definitions. Glossaries are often found at the back of textbooks or reference works, providing quiet explanations of technical terms. They serve as small guides through unfamiliar vocabulary. Paper can be recycled about 7 times before the fibers become too short to bind together into new sheets. Each recycling process cuts the fibers, and after several rounds, they lose their strength and flexibility. This is why new paper is always mixed with recycled pulp in the production process. The first pencil eraser was patented in 1858, but the practice of attaching erasers to pencils began only a few years earlier. Before that, erasers were sold separately and often kept in a desk drawer or case. The combination of pencil and eraser was a simple but significant convenience. The word stationery, meaning writing materials, is derived from the term stationer, which referred to a bookseller or publisher who had a fixed shop location. Stationary, with an A, means not moving, and the two words are often confused. The spelling difference is a small but persistent source of confusion. The longest known word printed on a single page in a book is the chemical name for the protein titin, which has nearly 190,000 letters. It takes about 3 hours to pronounce correctly, and it appears only in specialized texts. The word is so long that it spans several pages in its printed form. The quill pen was the primary writing instrument in Europe for over 1,000 years, made from the feathers of birds like geese or swans. The hollow shaft of the feather would hold a small amount of ink, which flowed to the tip as the writer pressed down. Quills required frequent dipping, but were standard until the metal nib was introduced. The first photocopier, the Xerox Model 914, was introduced in 1959 and weighed 650 pounds. It was the first machine to make plain paper copies quickly and efficiently, revolutionizing office work. The copier was so large that it needed a dedicated table, and early models occasionally caught fire. A paperclip can hold approximately 5 sheets of standard paper before the clips start to deform or lose their grip. The standard wire shape is designed to exert just enough pressure to hold a small stack without damaging the paper. Larger clips, like bulldog clips, can handle thicker stacks but are less common in office settings. The word manuscript comes from the Latin words manus, meaning hand, and scriptus, meaning written, so it literally means written by hand. Originally, all books were manuscripts because printing hadn't been invented yet. The term now usually refers to an author's draft before it goes to print. The first pencils made in America were produced in 1812 by a cabinet maker named William Monroe in Concord, Massachusetts. He used local graphite and cedar wood, creating pencils that were competitive with British imports. His success helped establish the American pencil industry, which grew rapidly in the 19th century. Ink can be made from various substances, including soot, plant dyes, and even crushed insects. Historically, ink was mixed from lamp black, a type of soot, and a binding agent like gum arabic. Different cultures developed different recipes for ink, each suited to the local writing materials. The term thumbnail sketch originally referred to a small drawing that was about the size of a thumbnail, used to plan larger works. Over time, the term shifted to describe any brief or preliminary version of something, whether written or visual. The original meaning was quite literal, referring to the physical size of the drawing. A quire is a unit of paper measurement equal to 24 or 25 sheets, depending on the standard. It's about 1/20th of a ream, which is 500 sheets. The term is rarely used today except in specialized paper trades, but it appears occasionally in historical texts. The first ballpoint pen was patented in 1888 by John Loud, but the design didn't become successful until the 20th century. Early ballpoint pens were unreliable and often leaked, making them less popular than fountain pens. It took several decades of refinement before the ballpoint pen became the standard writing instrument we know today. Paper has a grain direction much like wood, which affects how it folds and tears. The grain is determined by the direction the fibers align during manufacturing, and it affects the paper's strength and flexibility. Knowing the grain direction is important for high-quality bookbinding and printing. The term flyleaf refers to a blank page at the beginning or end of a book, often used for inscriptions or notes. It's not part of the main text block but is pasted to the inside cover. Flyleaves serve as quiet spaces for personal messages or book plates. The first book printed in Europe using movable type was the Gutenberg Bible, completed around 1455. It was printed in Latin and consisted of over 1,000 pages, divided into 2 volumes. Gutenberg's press revolutionized book production, making texts more widely available than ever before. The word folio refers to a book made from large sheets of paper that were folded only once, creating large pages. It's one of several standard book sizes, along with quarto and octavo. Folio volumes were often used for important texts or illustrated books, where large images needed space. The eraser on a pencil wears down about twice as fast as the graphite, which is why pencils are often sold with spare erasers attached. The rubber tip is softer than the graphite and breaks down more quickly with use. Some users prefer mechanical pencils for this reason, as they have longer-lasting erasers. The first typewriters had keys arranged in alphabetical order, but this caused jamming because the mechanical arms would collide. The QWERTY layout was developed to slow typists down and prevent jamming, though it's not the most efficient arrangement for modern typing. The term letterpress refers to the relief printing process where raised text is inked and pressed onto paper. It was the standard printing method for centuries before offset printing became common. Letterpress is still used for art prints and fine stationery because of its distinctive textured feel. A standard paperback book contains about 300 pages, which is roughly the average length of a commercial novel. The page count can vary depending on the font size and the thickness of the paper, but 300 is a common benchmark. Some books are shorter, some are much longer, but the average is remarkably stable. The first paper money in Europe was issued in Sweden in 1661, though the Chinese had been using paper currency for centuries before that. European paper money was originally issued as a promise to pay the bearer in coins, a system that eventually evolved into fiat currency. The paper itself was printed with elaborate designs to prevent counterfeiting. The term notepad refers to a collection of blank or ruled sheets bound at the top, designed for writing temporary notes. Notepads are often smaller than notebooks and have fewer pages, making them ideal for quick jottings. They're commonly found on desks and in offices, serving as quiet containers for ideas. The first known printed text in human history is a Buddhist sutra printed in Korea in 751, though it's not as famous as the Gutenberg Bible. The Korean text is a woodblock print, meaning each page was carved by hand into a single block of wood. This method was labor-intensive, but produced many copies of the sutra over the centuries. Paper sizes vary by region, with the A-series standard used in most of the world, and letter size used in North America. A4 paper, the most common size, measures about 8.3 by 11.7 inches, while letter size is 8.5 by 11 inches. The difference is small but noticeable when documents are printed in different regions. The first printing press in North America was established in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in 1639. The press was used to print almanacs, religious texts, and official documents for the Puritan colony. It laid the foundation for the American printing industry, which grew rapidly after independence. The word calligraphy comes from the Greek words for beauty and writing, meaning beautiful writing. Calligraphy is often used for invitations, certificates, and decorative works, where the written word is treated as an art form. The practice requires careful control of the pen to achieve the desired shapes. The first ink bottle with a built-in pen holder was patented in 1855, making it easier to dip a pen without spilling ink. The holder kept the pen upright and prevented it from falling over or damaging the nib. These ink bottles were common on desks in the 19th century, though they've become less common with the rise of ballpoint pens. A sheet of paper has two sides, which is why we can print on both sides to save paper. Double-sided printing, also called duplex printing, reduces paper consumption by half and is standard in modern offices. It's a simple habit that significantly reduces waste over time. The term paper trail refers to the collection of documents that track an event or transaction, such as receipts or official forms. The phrase originated in the mid-20th century, when most records were still kept on paper. It's still used today, even though many documents are now digital. The first magazines were published in the 18th century and contained articles, essays, and illustrations on various topics. They were originally called periodicals because they were published at regular intervals, usually weekly or monthly. The term magazine comes from the Arabic word for a storehouse, because the publication stored a variety of content. The word stationery refers to items that do not move, while stationery refers to writing materials. The spelling difference is a common point of confusion, but it's easy to remember if you associate stationery with the in paper. The two words are otherwise similar in pronunciation and often used incorrectly. The first paperclips were sold in the 1890s and quickly became a standard office supply. The design has remained largely unchanged since then, with the familiar wire loop holding papers together securely. Paper clips are still commonly used, though staples and binder clips offer stronger alternatives. The word bookmark comes from the practice of marking one's place in a book with a physical object, such as a ribbon or strip of paper. Bookmarks have been used since the medieval period, when books were often large and text was dense. They remain useful for holding one's place without damaging the pages. Let's turn to language, specifically the quiet rules we follow without ever questioning them. Take the word Q, for instance. It is pronounced exactly the same way if you remove the last four letters. Q, U, E becomes just Q, and the sound doesn't change at all. That's because the UE at the end is essentially silent, a vestigial tale from the French origin of the word. Uncopyrightable is the longest word in the English language that does not repeat a single letter. It uses each of its 15 letters once and only once. This makes it a heterogram, a term for a word where every character appears only a single time. It's a quietly remarkable feat, given how common repeated letters are in most long words. The rule of I before E, except after C, has more exceptions than words that actually follow it. Words like science, ancient, and species all break the rule, and there are many others. The rule is more of a guideline than a reliable spelling principle, and it's often taught to children as a mnemonic that later proves unreliable. The word set has more definitions than any other in the English dictionary. There are over 400 distinct senses of the word, ranging from a collection of objects to the act of placing something down. The Oxford English Dictionary devotes more than 60,000 words to defining all its uses. It's the most versatile word in the language, doing the work of dozens of others. A pangram is a sentence that contains every letter of the alphabet at least once. The most famous one is, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," which uses all 26 letters. This sentence is often used to test typewriters and computer keyboards because it engages every key. It's a short, efficient way to check that everything is working. The word screeched is the longest one-syllable word in the English language, with 9 letters. It's a surprisingly long single-syllable word, and few other words can match it. The sound of the word itself mimics the harsh, high-pitched noise it describes, making it an example of onomatopoeia as well. The comma was originally invented as a system for actors, telling them where to take a breath in a script. Early punctuation was used primarily for performance, not for clarifying grammatical structure. Over time, the comma evolved into a tool for organizing written language, but its theatrical roots remain in its pauses. The plural of octopus is not octopi, as many people assume. The correct plurals are octopuses or octopodes, because the word comes from Greek, not Latin. The -I ending is a Latin plural, and it was mistakenly applied to a Greek root. It's one of the most common grammar errors in English. There is an English word for the day after tomorrow, though it's now obsolete. That word is overmorrow, which used to be common in everyday speech. Similarly, ere yesterday meant the day before yesterday, but both have fallen out of use. We've simplified our language by losing these useful terms. The word girl originally meant a young person of either sex until the 16th century. It was simply a term for a child, with no gender distinction at all. Over time, it shifted to specifically refer to female children, and then later to young women. The gender-neutral usage has been entirely lost. The study of the origin of words is called etymology, a field that traces how terms evolve over time. Etymologists look at historical records, comparing languages to find common roots. The goal is to reconstruct the path a word took from its earliest known form to its modern usage. It's a quiet detective work, piecing together linguistic history. The word goodbye is a contraction of the phrase, "God be with you," which was shortened over centuries. The religious meaning has largely faded, and now it's simply a polite way to end a conversation. Most people who say it don't think about its original significance at all. The word pajama comes from the Hindi and Urdu word pajama, meaning leg garment. It entered English through British colonialism in India in the 18th century. The pronunciation and spelling have shifted slightly, but the origin is clearly South Asian. The word alphabet is derived from the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta. The Greek alphabet itself was adapted from the Phoenician script, where the letters had different names. The term has become so common that we rarely think about its etymological roots. The word awkward doesn't follow the common pattern of adjectives ending in ward, which usually indicate direction. Its origin is from an Old Norse word meaning turn the wrong way, which explains its modern meaning of clumsy or uncomfortable. It's an odd word with an odd history. The word sandwich is named after John Montagu, the fourth Earl of Sandwich, who reportedly ate meat between bread so he could continue gambling. It's an example of an eponym, where a person's name becomes a common noun. The fact that a British nobleman now represents a lunch item is pure historical coincidence. The word bungalow comes from the Hindi word bangala, meaning Bengal style. It originally referred to a single-story house with a veranda, typical of the Bengal region. The term traveled to England and then to America, where it now means a small, informal house. The word ghost comes from the Old English gast, which meant spirit or soul. The H was added later, possibly influenced by the Dutch word geest. The modern spelling has an extra letter that isn't pronounced, a common feature of English orthography. The word sneeze is thought to be a modification of the Old English fneosan, with the F changing to S due to a misreading of the letter. Some historical manuscripts used a letter that looked like an S, which caused the spelling to shift. It's an unusual path for a word to take. The word mortgage comes from the old French words for death and pledge, meaning a pledge that dies when the debt is repaid. The creditor holds the pledge until the borrower pays off the loan, at which point the agreement terminates. It's a dark etymology for a common financial term. The word ostrich comes from the Latin avestruthio, which combined words for bird and sparrow. The term traveled through Greek and Old French before arriving in English. The original meaning was essentially sparrow camel, a reference to the bird's long neck. The word quirky likely comes from a German root meaning twisted or odd, which is fitting for its modern meaning. It's a relatively recent addition to the English language, only appearing in common usage in the 20th century. The word has a playful quality that matches its meaning. The word sherbet comes from the Arabic sharbat, meaning a drink, which itself comes from a root meaning to drink. The term traveled through Turkish and Persian before reaching European languages. The frozen dessert we know today is a distant relative of the original flavored beverage. The word hysterical comes from the Greek word for uterus, hystera, because the condition was once thought to be caused by a wandering womb. This belief, which persisted for centuries, attributed emotional symptoms to a physical organ. The etymology reflects a historical misunderstanding of the female body. The word candidate comes from the Latin candidatus, meaning dressed in white, because Roman politicians wore white robes to appear pure and honest. The white clothing was a symbol of the candidate's integrity, though the reality was often different. The word is now divorced from its sartorial origins. The word salary comes from the Latin salarium, which was the money Roman soldiers received to buy salt. Salt was a valuable and essential commodity, so it made sense as a payment basis. The word has lost its connection to salt entirely over time. The word companion comes from the Latin words for with and bread, meaning someone you share bread with. A companion was originally a dining partner, a person you broke bread with. The word has broadened to mean any associate, but its culinary origin is still visible. The word disaster comes from the Latin and Greek roots for bad star, because ancient people believed catastrophes were caused by unfavorable planetary alignments. The word suggests that the event was written in the stars, a belief that has since been discredited. The astrological connection has been completely forgotten. The word pondering comes from the Latin ponderare, meaning to weigh or consider, which is related to the word for pound. To ponder something is to weigh it mentally, to measure its importance. The word has a physical metaphor at its core, though we rarely think about it. The word understand comes from Old English understanden, meaning to stand in the middle of something. It implies a position of complete comprehension, where you are surrounded by knowledge. The word is related to the German verstehen, which has a similar root. The word bookkeeper has 3 consecutive double letters, as was noted earlier. It's one of the few common English words with this spelling pattern. The double letters occur because of the compounding of book and keeper. The word hangry is a blend of hungry and angry, coined in the 20th century to describe the irritability that comes with low blood sugar. The term is relatively new, but has gained widespread acceptance. It combines 2 simple concepts into a single descriptive word. The word pal comes from the Romani language, where it meant brother or friend. The term entered English through British slang in the 19th century. It's a small word with a specific cultural origin, now used broadly across the English-speaking world. The word gossip originally meant a godparent or a close friend, referring to someone present at a baptism. Over time, it shifted to mean idle talk, specifically about other people's lives. The original religious context has been entirely lost, leaving only the negative connotation. The word hound comes from the Old English hund, which was simply the word for any dog. Over time, it became specialized to mean a type of hunting dog. The original meaning has been replaced by the generic dog, which has a different etymology entirely. The word jovial originally referred to the planet Jupiter, which was associated with good cheer and positive temperament. The astrological connection is now considered superstition. The word has survived as a descriptor of happy people. The word sarcasm comes from the Greek word for tearing flesh, reflecting its harsh, biting nature. The original meaning was quite literal, referring to a painful wound, but it's now used metaphorically for sharp wit. The etymology explains why sarcasm can feel so cutting. The word serendipity was coined by Horace Walpole in 1754, based on a Persian fairy tale called The 3 Princes of Serendip. The princes were always making accidental discoveries, which gave Walpole the idea for a new word. Serendipity means a lucky, unexpected find. The word dandelion comes from the French dent de lion, meaning lion's tooth, referring to the jagged shape of the plant's leaves. The word entered English through Old French and has been in use since the 15th century. The dandelion's common name reflects its physical appearance rather than any use. The word hobbit was coined by J.R.R. Tolkien, who said it came to him in a flash of inspiration. He was correcting exam papers when he wrote, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." The word has no etymology outside of Tolkien's imagination, making it a true invention. The word quarantine comes from the Italian quarantina, meaning 40 days, because ships arriving at Venice were required to wait 40 days before disembarking. This was done to prevent the spread of disease. The word has lost its temporal specificity and now means any period of isolation. The word hazard comes from the Arabic al-zahar, meaning the dice, which was used in medieval games of chance. The word traveled through French and Italian before entering English. It originally referred to a gambling game, not a general danger. The word trivia comes from the Latin trivium, meaning a crossroads or a place where 3 roads meet. In ancient Rome, the trivium was a common area where people would meet and exchange gossip. Over time, the word came to mean small, unimportant details. The word crayon comes from the French word for chalk, craie, which itself comes from the Latin creta, meaning chalk. The coloring tools we use today are made of wax or oil, but the name persists. The connection to chalk is historical, not material. The word fossil comes from the Latin fossilis, meaning dug up, which describes exactly how fossils are discovered. The word refers to anything that has been excavated from the earth, not just ancient remains. It's a broad term with a simple etymological root. The word robot was introduced by the Czech writer Karel Čapek in his 1920 play RUR, from the Czech robota, meaning forced labor. The word describes a machine that does work on behalf of humans. It entered many languages quickly and became a standard term for artificial workers. The word strategy comes from the Greek strategia, meaning the art of leading an army, from stratos, meaning army, and aegein, meaning to lead. The word has broadened to mean any careful plan, whether military or civilian. The military connection has faded, but the strategic mindset remains. The word clue comes from the Old English clue, meaning a ball of thread, as in the thread that led Theseus out of the Minotaur's labyrinth. The thread was a physical guide, and the word later shifted to mean a hint or guide to a solution. It's a metaphor that has become literal. Let's shift to the body itself, the quiet machinery that keeps running without our attention. The human stomach gets a new lining every 3 to 4 days, replacing the cells that have been damaged by digestive acids. This constant renewal prevents the stomach from digesting itself, which would be a rather serious problem. It's a process that happens automatically, without any conscious effort on our part. Your nose can remember about 50,000 different scents, though you rarely notice most of them. The olfactory system is remarkably sensitive, capable of distinguishing subtle differences in odor. You walk through the world surrounded by smells you don't even register, a silent layer of information your brain chooses to ignore. The average person produces about 25,000 quarts of saliva in a lifetime, which is enough to fill 2 standard swimming pools. That's a tremendous amount of fluid, all produced by small glands in the mouth. You're swallowing most of it without thinking, constantly moistening your food and protecting your teeth. Your eyes are fully grown by the time you are born, which is unusual among body parts. They don't change size as you age, remaining the same diameter from infancy to adulthood. Ears and noses, on the other hand, never stop growing, slowly increasing in size over the decades. It's why older people often have larger ears and noses than they did in youth. It takes about 200 muscles to take a single step forward, coordinating everything from your foot to your hip to your spine. Walking is actually an incredibly complex movement pattern that we perform without any thought at all. Each step requires precise timing and balance, all managed by unconscious parts of the brain. Fingernails grow about 4 times faster than toenails, a fact you may have noticed if you compare how often you clip them. The difference is due to blood circulation, which is better in the fingers than in the toes. It's a small but consistent pattern observed across all human populations. The brain uses about 20% of the body's oxygen, despite being only 2% of its mass. It's a demanding organ, requiring constant fuel to maintain its electrical activity. Even when you're sleeping, the brain is working hard, processing information and maintaining vital functions. Humans are the only animals that weep from emotion, shedding tears in response to sadness, joy, or frustration. Other animals produce tears for lubrication, but none cry as a response to feeling. It's a uniquely human expression of emotion, one that we rarely think about. The small intestine is about 22 feet long, but only about an inch in diameter, a surprising length for such a narrow tube. It's folded and coiled inside the abdomen, fitting into a surprisingly small space. The surface area inside the intestine is enormous, allowing for efficient absorption of nutrients. You shed about 600,000 particles of skin every hour, which accounts for most of the dust in your house. Those tiny flakes are constantly falling off, replaced by new layers beneath. The dust you see on furniture is largely composed of dead skin cells, mixed with fabric fibers and other debris. The study of the human body is called anatomy, from the Greek word for cutting up. The term refers to the dissection that was historically required to understand the internal structure. Anatomy is one of the oldest sciences, practiced by ancient civilizations long before modern medicine. The human heart beats about 100,000 times a day, which adds up to over 2.5 billion beats in an average lifetime. Each beat is a small contraction, pushing blood through the circulatory system. The heart is working constantly, from before birth until death, without ever taking a break. The liver is the only internal organ that can regenerate itself, regrowing lost tissue after injury or partial removal. If you remove a portion of the liver, it will grow back to its original size within months. This remarkable ability is unique among human organs, making the liver exceptionally resilient. The average person has about 100,000 hairs on their head, with blondes having the most and redheads having the least. The number varies based on hair color and density, but it's roughly consistent across populations. Each hair grows for a few years before falling out and being replaced. The tongue is the strongest muscle in the human body relative to its size, capable of exerting significant pressure. It's also the most flexible, allowing for speech and swallowing. The tongue works constantly, moving food around the mouth and shaping the sounds of language. The human skeleton is made up of 206 bones at adulthood, though babies have more than 300. The extra bones fuse together as you grow, reducing the total number. The skull is made of several plates that don't fully fuse until childhood. The teeth are the only part of the skeleton that aren't considered bones, technically being made of a different material. They're composed of enamel, dentin, and pulp, which are mineralized but not classified as bone tissue. Teeth are harder and more resistant to decay than bone. The average person blinks about 15 to 20 times per minute, which adds up to over 1,000 blinks per hour. Blinking keeps the eyes moist and removes debris, protecting the surface from damage. Most of these blinks are unconscious, happening without any awareness. The human body has about 60,000 miles of blood vessels, enough to circle the Earth more than twice. These vessels include arteries, veins, and capillaries, ranging from large to microscopic. The circulatory system is the body's transportation network, delivering oxygen and nutrients everywhere they're needed. The kidneys filter about 50 gallons of blood per day, removing waste and excess fluids. They work continuously, producing urine from the filtered material. The kidneys are essential for maintaining chemical balance in the body, regulating electrolytes and blood pressure. The skin is the largest organ, covering about 20 square feet in a fully grown adult. It serves as a barrier against infection, protects against damage, and helps regulate temperature. The skin also provides a sense of touch, allowing us to feel pressure, temperature, and texture. The human body is about 60% water, making it mostly liquid at the chemical level. This water is distributed throughout cells, blood, and other tissues. The percentage varies with age and body composition, with infants being more hydrated than adults. The spine is made up of 33 vertebrae, though some fuse together during growth. The spinal cord runs through the center, protected by the bones. The spine supports the head and body, allowing for flexibility and movement. The human body produces about 2 to 4 pints of urine each day, depending on fluid intake and activity level. The kidneys produce urine continuously, storing it in the bladder until it's convenient to eliminate. The amount varies widely based on hydration, diet, and health. The lungs contain about 300 million air sacs, which provide a massive surface area for gas exchange. The surface area is roughly the size of a tennis court, all contained within the chest. This allows for efficient oxygen uptake and carbon dioxide removal. The human body has about 10 times more bacterial cells than human cells, making it a moving ecosystem. These bacteria live in the gut, on the skin, and in other parts of the body. Most are beneficial, aiding in digestion and protecting against harmful germs. The average person grows about 6 feet of hair in a lifetime, counting all the hairs combined from head to toe. Each hair grows in cycles, with some falling out as others grow in. The total length of all hair produced is surprisingly large. The human body contains about 2.5 grams of iron, mostly in the blood and muscles. This iron is essential for transporting oxygen, forming part of the hemoglobin molecule. The amount is small but critical for survival, and it's recycled constantly. The cornea of the eye does not have any blood vessels, which is unusual for living tissue. It gets oxygen and nutrients from tears and the surrounding fluid. This lack of blood vessels keeps the cornea transparent, allowing light to pass through clearly. The average person takes about 20,000 breaths per day, though this number varies with activity level. Each breath brings in oxygen and expels carbon dioxide, maintaining the body's chemical balance. Breathing is usually automatic, but we can control it voluntarily when we choose. The human body is roughly symmetrical on the outside, but the internal organs are arranged asymmetrically. The heart is on the left, the liver is on the right, and the stomach is in the upper left. This asymmetry is consistent across most people, with only slight variations. The bones in the human body are constantly being replaced, with old bone cells being broken down and new ones formed. About 10% of the skeleton is rebuilt each year, maintaining its strength and structure. This process keeps bones strong and resilient, even as we age. The human body contains about 100 trillion cells, each with a specific function. These cells are organized into tissues, which form organs which make up systems. The whole organism is an elaborate collaboration of countless individual units. The average person has about 2 million sweat glands, which help regulate body temperature through evaporative cooling. These glands are distributed across the skin, with higher concentrations on the palms, soles, and forehead. Sweating is essential for preventing overheating in warm conditions. The human body has a natural ability to heal itself, repairing damage and fighting infection. This healing process is complex, involving immune cells and regenerative tissues. The body can mend broken bones, heal cuts, and recover from many ailments without medical intervention. The human body contains about 3 pounds of bacteria, mostly in the digestive tract. These bacteria help break down food and produce essential vitamins. The gut microbiome is increasingly recognized as a crucial part of overall health, influencing everything from digestion to immunity. The human body loses about 1 million skin cells each day, constantly replacing the outer layer. This shedding is continuous and invisible, happening all the time. The cells are quickly replaced by new ones, keeping the skin healthy and intact. The human body has about 200 types of cells, each specialized for a particular function. These include nerve cells, muscle cells, blood cells, and many others. The diversity of cell types is what makes the human body so complex and capable. The human body can survive for weeks without food, but only a few days without water. Water is essential for all bodily functions, from temperature regulation to digestion. The body stores water in various tissues, but it's quickly depleted when hydration is insufficient. The human body has a natural circadian rhythm that regulates sleep, hunger, and hormone levels. This rhythm is driven by the brain's internal clock, which responds to light and darkness. It's the body's way of anticipating daily patterns and preparing accordingly. The human body is remarkably adaptable, able to adjust to extreme conditions over time. This adaptability allows people to live in diverse environments, from deserts to high mountains. The body changes gradually, adjusting metabolism and other functions to suit the conditions. The human body has an immune system that learns from exposure, developing immunity to pathogens over time. This learning process is behind vaccinations, which train the immune system to recognize specific threats. The immune system is constantly on alert, defending the body against invaders. The human body produces about 1 liter of mucus each day, which lines the respiratory and digestive tracts. This mucus traps particles and pathogens, preventing them from entering the body. It's an essential protective layer that we barely notice until it becomes excessive. The human body has a system of reflexes that operate without conscious thought, protecting us from injury. These reflexes are hardwired responses to specific stimuli, like pulling your hand back from a hot surface. They are fast and automatic, requiring no decision-making. The human body is capable of rapid healing, with many tissues repairing themselves within days or weeks. The speed of healing varies by tissue type, with some healing faster than others. The body prioritizes essential functions, ensuring that the most important tissues are repaired first. The human body is made up of 7 elements in significant quantities: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. These elements form the basis of all tissues and fluids. Other elements are present in smaller amounts but are still essential. The human body grows and changes throughout life, from infancy to old age. These changes are driven by hormones and genetics, following a predictable pattern. The body is never static, always adapting to internal and external conditions. The human body has a remarkable capacity for memory, storing vast amounts of information in the brain. This memory includes facts, experiences, and skills, all accessible when needed. The brain's storage capacity is enormous, though the exact limits are still being explored. The human body is a complex system of interconnected parts, each dependent on the others. The body functions as a whole, with no single part working in isolation. This integration is what makes the body resilient and capable of responding to diverse challenges. Let's consider the lines we've drawn on the Earth's surface, borders that exist only in our collective agreement. The border between the United States and Canada is the longest international border in the world, stretching 5,525 miles. It runs from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific, passing through forests, plains, and mountains. The border is mostly straight in the west but follows natural waterways in the east. Russia has 11 time zones, the most of any single country on Earth. This means that when it's morning in Kaliningrad, it's already late evening in Kamchatka. The country spans such a vast distance that the sun rises and sets at different times across its territory. The time zones were established to reflect the natural daylight hours in each region. The only country completely bordered by another single country is Lesotho, a small nation entirely surrounded by South Africa. It's an enclave, meaning it has no coastline and no other neighbors. Lesotho is mountainous and landlocked, dependent on South Africa for access to ports and trade routes. The shortest war in recorded history lasted only 38 minutes, between Britain and Zanzibar in 1896. The conflict began when the Sultan of Zanzibar refused to step down and the British Navy opened fire. The Sultan's forces surrendered almost immediately, making it a brief but decisive engagement. Alaska is simultaneously the westernmost, easternmost, and northernmost state in the United States. It's the westernmost because it extends into the Bering Sea, and it's the easternmost because the Aleutian Islands cross the 180th meridian. The northernmost point of Alaska is also the northernmost point of the entire country. The Republic of the Philippines has more than 7,600 islands, making it one of the most island-dense countries in the world. The islands range from large land masses to tiny rocky outcroppings. Many of the islands are uninhabited, covered in dense tropical vegetation. There's a point in the Pacific Ocean called Point Nemo, which is the farthest point from any land on Earth. It's located about 1,450 miles from the nearest inhabited land. The closest humans are usually astronauts on the International Space Station, which passes overhead occasionally. France has the most time zones of any country, with 12 due to its overseas territories. These territories are scattered across the globe, from the Caribbean to the South Pacific. The time zones range from UTC-10 to UTC+12, covering nearly the entire clock. The Netherlands is the only country with a national bird that isn't native to its territory. The black-tailed godwit is found in the Netherlands, but it's also found in many other countries. The bird was chosen for its connection to the Dutch landscape and its migratory habits. The border between Egypt and Sudan is defined by a straight line drawn in 1899, ignoring the local geography and tribal boundaries. The line was drawn by British colonial administrators who prioritized administrative convenience over local realities. This arbitrary border has caused disputes and complications ever since. The study of borders and boundaries is called political geography, which examines how human societies divide space. Political geographers look at how borders are created, maintained, and contested. The field explores the relationship between territory, identity, and power. The United States has a border with Canada, that is about 2,000 miles longer than its border with Mexico. The northern border is roughly 5,500 miles, while the southern border is about 2,000 miles. The difference is due to the shape of the continent and the historical expansion of the U.S. The country with the most neighbors is China, which shares borders with 14 other countries. These include Russia, India, Vietnam, and many others. The borders are diverse, ranging from mountainous terrain to flat plains. The smallest country in the world is Vatican City, which is entirely surrounded by the city of Rome. It's less than half a square kilometer in area, making it the smallest independent state. The country has a population of about 800, mostly clergy and guards. The largest country in the world is Russia, covering more than 1/6 of the Earth's land surface. The country spans 11 time zones and touches 2 continents. It's so vast that it's almost twice the size of the United States. The shortest border in the world is between Morocco and Spain at the Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera, a small rocky outcrop in the Mediterranean. The border is only about 85 meters long, a tiny strip of land. It's one of the few land borders between Africa and Europe. The longest continuous border in the world is the border between the United States and Canada, as noted earlier. It includes both the 49th parallel and the water boundaries of the Great Lakes. The border is largely unfortified and is crossed by millions of people each year. The border between India and Bangladesh is one of the most complex in the world, with numerous enclaves and exclaves. The border follows rivers and historical boundaries, creating a patchwork of territories. The complexity has caused administrative difficulties for both countries. The border between China and Russia is the longest land border between any 2 countries, stretching over 4,000 miles. The border runs through forests, mountains, and rivers, with some sections still disputed. The 2 countries have a complex history of border negotiations. The border between North and South Korea is the most heavily fortified in the world, with extensive defenses on both sides. The Korean Demilitarized Zone is a buffer that separates the 2 countries, but it's heavily monitored. The border has been in place since the Korean War armistice in 1953. The border between Argentina and Chile runs along the Andes mountain range, creating a natural barrier between the 2 countries. The border follows the highest peaks, making it difficult to cross in many places. It's one of the longest mountain borders in the world. The border between the United States and Mexico is about 2,000 miles long, running through desert, river, and urban areas. The border has been a subject of political and social debate for decades. The Rio Grande forms a significant portion of the border. The border between Egypt and Libya is a straight line drawn by colonial powers, ignoring local geography. The line was set in 1925, and it cuts across the Sahara Desert. The border is sparsely populated and difficult to patrol. The border between Turkey and Syria has been a flashpoint for conflict, with various factions controlling different sections. The border runs through the Euphrates River Valley, a historically significant region. The border has been redrawn several times over the centuries. The border between Pakistan and India is one of the most heavily guarded in the world, with thousands of troops stationed along it. The border runs through the Punjab region, a historically contested area. The 2 countries have fought several wars over the border. The border between Israel and Egypt is largely a straight line drawn in the Sinai Peninsula. The border has been a subject of treaties and disputes, with both countries agreeing to demilitarize the area. The border is patrolled by international observers. The border between Germany and Poland was redrawn after World War II, moving Poland's border westward. The new border followed the Oder-Neisse line, which shifted the territory significantly. The border has been stable since then, with both countries accepting the current line. The border between France and Germany has changed several times over the centuries, reflecting the shifting fortunes of war. The current border was established after World War II, with both countries agreeing on a permanent boundary. The border is now open, with free movement between the 2 countries. The border between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland is an open border, with free movement of people and goods. The border follows the coastline of Northern Ireland and the Republic. The border has been a subject of political debate, but it remains open. The border between Spain and Portugal is one of the oldest in Europe, dating back to the Treaty of Zamora in 1143. The border has remained largely unchanged for nearly 1,000 years, a rare example of stability. The two countries have a long history of cooperation and conflict. The border between Switzerland and Italy runs through the Alps, following the mountain passes and peaks. The border is a natural barrier, with few roads crossing between the two countries. It's a scenic border, popular with tourists and hikers. The border between Thailand and Cambodia has been a subject of dispute for centuries, with both countries claiming certain territories. The border follows the Dangrek Mountains, which are difficult to traverse. The conflict has occasionally flared up, but the border remains. The border between Venezuela and Colombia is one of the longest in South America, stretching over 1,000 miles. The border runs through the Andes and the Orinoco River basin. The two countries have historically had close ties, despite occasional disputes. The border between Iran and Iraq was established after World War I, dividing the historic region of Mesopotamia. The border follows the Shatt al-Arab waterway, which has been a source of conflict. The two countries have fought wars over the border, but it remains in place. The border between Afghanistan and Pakistan is known as the Durand Line, drawn by British colonial administrators in 1893. The border divides the Pashtun tribal areas, causing conflict and displacement. The Durand Line is not recognized by Afghanistan, which claims the territory. The border between Saudi Arabia and Yemen is largely a desert border, with few permanent settlements. The border was established in the 1930s and has been a subject of periodic conflict. The border is difficult to patrol, with illegal crossings common. The border between Russia and Finland is about 800 miles long, mostly running through forested terrain. The border has been stable since World War II, with both countries maintaining a peaceful relationship. The border is patrolled by both countries. The border between China and Mongolia is a long border across the Gobi Desert, with few settlements on either side. The border was established after the collapse of the Qing dynasty in 1912. The border is sparsely populated and difficult to defend. The border between the United States and Cuba is a maritime border, running through the Straits of Florida. The border is about 90 miles from the U.S. mainland, with Cuba to the south. The maritime border has been a subject of international law and diplomacy. The border between Australia and Papua New Guinea is a maritime border in the Torres Strait, which separates the two countries. The border is a narrow strip of water with islands on both sides. The border is managed through treaties and agreements. The border between Brazil and Argentina is one of the longest in South America, running through the Iguazu River basin. The border is a natural boundary, with waterfalls and forests along the way. The border is open, with free movement between the two countries. The border between India and Nepal is an open border, with free movement of people between the two countries. The border follows the Himalayan foothills, a historically important region. The two countries have close cultural and economic ties. The border between Sweden and Norway is a land border running through the Scandinavian mountains. The border is open, with free movement between the two countries. The border is a popular route for hikers and tourists. The border between the United States and the Bahamas is a maritime border in the Atlantic Ocean. The border is about 50 miles from the U.S. mainland, with the Bahamas to the east. The border is managed through treaties and agreements. The border between South Africa and Lesotho is a border that completely surrounds Lesotho, making it an enclave. The border follows mountain ridges and rivers, providing a natural boundary. The border is open, with free movement between the two countries. The border between Chile and Bolivia is a high-altitude border in the Andes, running through desert terrain. The border was established after the War of the Pacific in the 19th century. The border is sparsely populated and difficult to cross. The border between Namibia and Angola is a straight line drawn across the desert, ignoring local geography. The border was established by colonial powers, who divided the territory arbitrarily. The border has been a subject of periodic conflict, with disputes over resources. The border between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Angola is a river border, following the Congo River in some sections. The border has been a subject of conflict over diamonds and other resources. The border is difficult to patrol due to the dense forest. The border between Greece and Turkey is a border that divides the city of Edirne, with both countries claiming parts. The border follows the Evros River, which has been a source of dispute. The border is a heavily guarded frontier, with tensions occasionally flaring. The border between Bulgaria and Romania follows the Danube River, a natural boundary between the two countries. The border is open, with bridges connecting the two countries. The river is a popular route for shipping and tourism. The border between Italy and Slovenia is a border that runs through the Julian Alps, a popular tourist destination. The border was established after World War II, with some territory changing hands. The border is open, with free movement between the two countries. The border between Austria and Hungary is a border that follows the Danube River and the Austrian-Hungarian plain. The border is open, with free movement between the two countries. The region is historically significant, having been part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The border between the Czech Republic and Germany is a border that follows the Ore Mountains, a natural boundary. The border is open, with free movement between the two countries. The region is popular for winter sports and tourism. The border between Hungary and Slovakia is a border that follows the Danube River, a natural boundary between the two countries. The border is open, with bridges connecting the two sides. The region is historically significant, having been part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The border between Ukraine and Poland is a border that has changed several times over the centuries, reflecting the shifting fortunes of war. The current border was established after World War II, with both countries accepting the current line. The border is now open, with free movement between the two countries. Let's turn to the foods we eat, many of which started out very differently from how we consume them today. Ketchup was originally a fermented fish sauce from Southeast Asia, not a tomato condiment at all. The sauce was made from salted fish, which was fermented and then strained into a liquid. It traveled to Europe through trade routes, where tomatoes were eventually added, transforming it into the familiar red sauce. Carrots were originally purple or white, with the orange variety being cultivated much later in the Netherlands. The Dutch developed the orange carrot in the 17th century, possibly in honor of the House of Orange. The orange variety was sweeter and more appealing, so it became the standard. The original purple and white carrots are still grown, but they're less common. The sandwich is named after John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich, who reportedly asked for meat between bread so he could continue gambling. The Earl was a busy man who didn't want to leave the gaming table for a meal. The convenience of the sandwich caught on, and the name stuck. It's an example of a person's name becoming a common noun. The fortune cookie was actually invented in California, not in China, despite its association with Chinese cuisine. The cookie was likely created in San Francisco or Los Angeles in the early 20th century. It was based on Japanese senbei crackers, which had folded fortunes inside. The cookie became associated with Chinese restaurants in America, but its origins are firmly American. Potatoes were the first vegetable to be grown in space, cultivated on the Space Shuttle Columbia in 1995. The experiment was part of research into growing food for long-duration space missions. The potatoes grew successfully, proving that vegetables could be cultivated in microgravity. It was a small step towards self-sufficient space travel. The first breakfast cereal was created as a health food to combat indigestion, not as a convenient morning meal. John Harvey Kellogg developed cornflakes in the late 19th century as part of a vegetarian diet. The cereal was meant to be bland and simple, promoting digestive health. It was later sweetened and marketed to a wider audience. Honey never spoils, which is a remarkable property of this natural sweetener. Edible honey has been found in ancient Egyptian tombs, still intact after thousands of years. The low moisture content and acidic pH of honey prevent bacteria from growing. It's one of the few foods that can last indefinitely without preservation. The word pepper originally referred to the spice from India, which came from the Piper nigrum plant. The vegetable we call pepper, like bell peppers and chili peppers, is a New World plant entirely unrelated. When Europeans encountered the spicy New World fruits, they called them peppers because of their similar heat. The name stuck, even though the two are botanically distinct. The average strawberry has about 200 seeds on its surface, which are actually the plant's ovaries. Each seed is technically a fruit, making the strawberry a collection of many tiny fruits. The red flesh we eat is the swollen receptacle of the flower, not the fruit itself. It's a botanical oddity disguised as a simple berry. Popsicles were invented by an 11-year-old boy who left soda and water outside overnight with a stirring stick. Frank Epperson of California left his drink on the porch, and the winter temperatures froze it solid. He discovered the frozen treat the next morning and patented it years later. The name popsicle was originally a play on the word pop for soda. The study of food and its cultural history is called gastronomy, which explores how and why we eat what we eat. Gastronomists look at the social, economic, and environmental factors that shape our diets. The field combines history, anthropology, and culinary arts to understand food systems. The first chocolate bar was created in 1847 by Joseph Fry, who mixed cocoa powder with sugar and cocoa butter. The mixture was pressed into a mold, creating the first solid chocolate bar. Before that, chocolate was mostly consumed as a beverage, often with spices. Fry's invention made chocolate portable and accessible. The tomato was considered poisonous in Europe for centuries, as it belongs to the nightshade family. The acidity of the tomato could leach lead from pewter plates, causing lead poisoning. This association with poison kept the tomato out of European cuisine until the 19th century. It's now a staple in many cuisines. The first cheese was likely made by accident when milk was stored in a sheep's stomach, which contained rennet. The rennet caused the milk to curdle, separating into curds and whey. The curds were drained and salted, creating a simple cheese. It was a discovery that led to thousands of varieties. The average person eats about 35 tons of food in a lifetime, which is roughly the weight of 5 elephants. That's a massive amount of food, all consumed over the decades. The figure includes everything we eat, from the smallest snack to the largest meal. It's a quiet statistic that highlights how much we consume. The word breakfast literally means breaking the fast from the previous night. The term has been used since the 15th century, referring to the first meal of the day. It's a simple compound word that describes a daily practice. The meal has evolved significantly over the centuries. The first canned food was developed in the early 19th century as a way to preserve food for the military. The canning process was invented by Nicolas Appert, who won a prize from the French government. The cans were initially made of heavy metal and had to be opened with a chisel. They revolutionized food storage and transportation. The potato was originally cultivated in the Andes of South America, where it was domesticated thousands of years ago. The Spanish brought the potato to Europe in the 16th century, where it gradually became a staple. The potato's ability to grow in poor soil made it a valuable crop. It now feeds billions of people worldwide. The first ice cream was likely made in China, where a mixture of milk and rice was frozen with snow. The recipe was brought to Europe by travelers, who adapted it to local ingredients. Ice cream was initially a luxury, reserved for the wealthy. It became more accessible with the invention of refrigeration. The pineapple was a symbol of hospitality in colonial America, often displayed at social gatherings. The fruit was expensive and rare, so having one showed generosity. The pineapple motif appears on furniture and architecture from that period. The association with hospitality has persisted, though the fruit is now common. The banana is technically a berry, botanically speaking, because it develops from a single flower with multiple ovaries. The banana plant is actually an herb, not a tree, and the fruit grows in clusters. The banana is also the most consumed fruit in the world, with billions eaten annually. The first frozen pizza was introduced in the 1950s, but it wasn't popular until the 1960s. The convenience of frozen pizza made it a household staple, especially in the United States. The pizza was originally made with simple toppings, but it's now available in countless varieties. The frozen pizza industry is worth billions of dollars. The watermelon is about 92% water, making it one of the most hydrating fruits. The high water content is why it's so refreshing on a hot day. The watermelon is also a good source of vitamins and minerals. It's a summer staple in many parts of the world. The first oranges were not sweet, but sour, and were used primarily for medicinal purposes. Sweet oranges were developed through selective breeding in China. The sweet orange was introduced to Europe by Portuguese traders in the 15th century. It became a popular fruit and is now grown worldwide. The apple originated in Central Asia, where the wild ancestor still grows today. The apple was brought to Europe by travelers and then to the Americas by European colonists. The apple has been bred into thousands of varieties, each with a different taste and texture. The first sushi was a method of preserving fish by fermenting it with rice, not the fresh fish we eat today. The fermentation process preserved the fish for months, providing a reliable food source. The rice was discarded, and only the fish was eaten. Modern sushi uses fresh fish and vinegar-seasoned rice. The chocolate chip cookie was invented by accident when Ruth Wakefield added chocolate chunks to her cookie batter. She expected the chocolate to melt and spread, but it stayed in chunks. The result was a hit, and she sold the recipe to Nestlé in exchange for a lifetime supply of chocolate. The cookie is now a classic. The first popcorn was popped by Native Americans who used hot sand or stones to cook it. The popcorn kernels were placed in the hot sand where they expanded and popped. Popcorn was a staple food, often used in ceremonies and celebrations. It's now a common snack at movie theaters and fairs. The strawberry is not a true berry, but the banana is. A true berry develops from a single flower with one ovary, which the strawberry doesn't. The strawberry seeds are on the outside, not the inside, which disqualifies it. It's a common misconception that all small fruits are berries. The first coffee was likely discovered in Ethiopia, where the beans were originally chewed, not brewed. The beans were ground into a paste with fat, providing a source of energy. Brewing coffee became popular in the Middle East, and it spread to Europe and the Americas. Coffee is now one of the most consumed beverages in the world. The average person drinks about 3,000 gallons of water in a lifetime, not including water in food. That's a significant amount of fluid, consumed over many years. Water is essential for all bodily functions, and the amount varies with activity and climate. The first tea was discovered in China, where it was used as a medicinal beverage. Tea became a common drink, and it spread to the rest of Asia and beyond. The British developed a strong tea culture, importing vast quantities from China. Tea is now the second most consumed beverage, after water. The first yeast was not added to bread, but was present in the environment, causing the dough to rise spontaneously. Bakers learned to save some dough from each batch to start the next one. Yeast was cultivated and refined over centuries, improving the consistency of bread. It's now produced commercially for baking. The olive tree is one of the oldest cultivated trees, with evidence of olive cultivation dating back thousands of years. Olives were pressed for oil, which was used for cooking, lighting, and religious ceremonies. The olive tree is long-lived, with some specimens surviving for centuries. The first cheese factory in the United States was established in New York in 1851, producing cheese for commercial sale. The factory system revolutionized cheese production, making it more consistent and accessible. The industry grew rapidly, with cheese becoming a staple in American diets. It's now a multi-billion-dollar industry. The average person eats about 50 pounds of bread per year, a staple food in many cultures. The amount varies by region, with some countries consuming much more. Bread is a simple food, made from flour and water, yet it's a dietary mainstay. It's been consumed for thousands of years. The first chocolate was consumed as a bitter, spicy beverage by the Maya and Aztecs, not as a sweet treat. The chocolate was mixed with water, chili, and other spices, creating a frothy drink. The Spanish introduced sugar to the beverage, making it sweeter. It eventually became the chocolate we know today. The average person eats about 250 pounds of meat in a lifetime, depending on dietary habits. The figure includes beef, pork, poultry, and other meats. The amount has changed significantly over time, with consumption increasing in some regions. Meat is a major protein source for many people. The first salt was harvested from seawater by evaporating the water in shallow pools. Salt was used for preserving meat and fish, as well as flavoring food. The salt trade was a major economic activity, with salt being a valuable commodity. It's still a common seasoning today. The average person eats about 300 eggs per year, depending on their diet. Eggs are a versatile protein source, used in countless recipes. The consumption has varied over time, with eggs sometimes being restricted for health reasons. They're now a common breakfast item. The first peanut butter was developed in the late 19th century by a physician who wanted a nutritious food for the elderly. The peanut butter was originally sold as a health food, not a sweet spread. It became a popular staple, especially in the United States. It's now used in sandwiches, snacks, and desserts. The average person eats about 250 pounds of vegetables per year, depending on their diet. The consumption varies by region, with some cultures eating more vegetables than others. Vegetables are a crucial source of vitamins and minerals. The first chocolate factory was established in Switzerland, which became a center for chocolate production. Swiss chocolatiers developed conching, a process that refined the chocolate and gave it a smooth texture. The Swiss became known for their high-quality chocolate. The average person eats about 50 pounds of sugar per year, which is more than the recommended amount. The consumption of sugar has increased significantly over the past century. The first chewing gum was made from chicle, a natural latex from the sapodilla tree. The gum was chewed by the Maya and Aztecs, who found it to be a pleasant treat. The average person eats about 200,000 peanuts in a lifetime, though the exact number varies. Peanuts are a common snack and ingredient, used in many dishes. Let's turn to the animal kingdom, where many creatures have habits and traits that are often misunderstood. Goldfish have a memory span of several months, not the 3 seconds that people commonly believe. They can remember feeding times, recognize their owners, and even learn simple tricks. The myth of the 3-second memory likely comes from a misunderstanding of their short attention spans. An ostrich's eye is actually bigger than its brain, which is an unusual ratio in the animal kingdom. The eye is about 2 inches in diameter, while the brain is smaller. This means the ostrich has excellent vision but relatively limited cognitive capacity. It's a trade-off that works well for a bird that relies on sight to spot predators. Elephants are the only mammals that cannot jump, due to their massive size and bone structure. Their legs are built for stability, not for leaping, and their weight makes jumping physically impossible. They can run quickly, but they always keep at least 1 foot on the ground. It's a limitation that doesn't affect their survival. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance, which is a fitting name for their bright pink appearance. The collective noun is one of many colorful terms used for animal groups. Flamingos gather in large flocks, often standing on one leg. The term captures their striking visual presence. Cows have best friends and get stressed when they are separated from them, research has shown. They form close bonds with specific individuals, and they show signs of anxiety when those bonds are broken. The stress can affect their milk production and overall health. It's a reminder that social connections matter, even in farm animals. The heart of a shrimp is located in its head, which is unusual for an animal. The shrimp's circulatory system is relatively simple, with the heart pumping blood through the body. The head location is a quirk of its anatomy, not a functional advantage. It's one of many oddities in the animal kingdom. Kangaroos cannot walk backward, as their large tails and powerful hind legs make backward movement impossible. They can hop forward with great speed, but reversing direction requires turning around. This anatomical limitation is a consequence of their unique locomotion. A snail can sleep for 3 years, entering a state of dormancy when conditions are unfavorable. This extended sleep is a survival strategy, allowing the snail to conserve energy during droughts or cold spells. The snail seals itself inside its shell and waits for better conditions. It's a remarkably long period of inactivity for any creature. The tongues of blue whales can weigh as much as an adult elephant, which is about 6,000 pounds. The tongue is enormous, used to filter feed on krill and small fish. It's a testament to the sheer scale of the blue whale, the largest animal ever to have lived. The fingerprints of a koala are so similar to human fingerprints that they can confuse crime scene investigators. The ridges and loops on a koala's fingers are nearly identical to those of humans. This similarity is a result of convergent evolution, where unrelated species develop similar traits. The study of animal behavior is called ethology, which examines how animals interact with their environment and each other. Ethologists observe animals in their natural habitats, recording their actions and reactions. The field helps us understand the evolutionary basis of behavior. The average house cat sleeps about 16 hours a day, which is more than most mammals. The rest of the time is spent eating, grooming, and occasional activity. This sleep pattern is a remnant of their wild ancestors, who needed to conserve energy for hunting. A dog's nose is so sensitive that it can detect odors at concentrations of 1 part per trillion. This means they can smell things that are completely imperceptible to humans. The canine olfactory system is one of the most sophisticated in the animal kingdom. The bat is the only mammal that can truly fly, with wings made of skin stretched over elongated fingers. Other mammals, like flying squirrels, can glide but cannot sustain flight. Bats are remarkably agile, navigating through the dark using echolocation. The average giraffe sleeps only about 30 minutes to 2 hours a day, in short bursts. They sleep standing up, which allows them to quickly escape predators. The short sleep pattern is an adaptation to their vulnerable position in the wild. A group of crows is called a murder, which is a collective noun with a dark connotation. Crows are highly intelligent, capable of using tools and solving complex problems. The term murder likely comes from the bird's association with death and battlefields. The honeybee has 5 eyes, with 2 large compound eyes and 3 smaller eyes on top of its head. The compound eyes detect movement, while the smaller eyes sense light intensity. This arrangement gives the bee a wide field of vision. The hummingbird can fly backward, which is a rare ability in the bird world. They can also hover in place, thanks to their unique wing structure. The hummingbird's wings beat about 50 times per second, allowing for incredible maneuverability. The camel can go for weeks without water, storing fat in its hump for energy. The hump is not a water reservoir, but a fat deposit that provides energy when food is scarce. Camels can also tolerate high temperatures and water loss that would kill other animals. The domestic chicken has about 24 distinct vocalizations, each with a specific meaning. They can communicate danger, food, and social status through these calls. Chickens are more complex than they appear, with a rich social life. The octopus has 3 hearts, with 2 pumping blood to the gills and 1 pumping it to the rest of the body. The octopus also has blue blood, due to the presence of copper-based hemocyanin. These adaptations allow the octopus to thrive in deep, cold waters. The average mosquito has a lifespan of about 2 weeks, though some species can live longer. They are among the deadliest animals in the world, transmitting diseases like malaria and dengue. Despite their small size, they have a significant impact on human health. The chameleon's tongue can be up to twice the length of its body, allowing it to catch prey from a distance. The tongue shoots out with remarkable speed, capturing insects in a fraction of a second. The chameleon's sticky tongue is a highly specialized hunting tool. The earthworm has no lungs, breathing through its skin instead. The skin must stay moist for gas exchange to occur. so earthworms avoid dry conditions. They are essential for soil health, aerating the ground and processing organic matter. A group of owls is called a parliament, which is a collective noun that reflects their perceived wisdom. Owls have excellent night vision and hearing, allowing them to hunt in the dark. They are silent flyers, with special feathers that muffle the sound of their wings. The platypus is one of the few egg-laying mammals, along with echidnas. They are found only in Australia and are known for their duck-like bill. The platypus also has venomous spurs on its hind legs, a rare trait in mammals. The average ant can carry objects 50 times its own body weight, a remarkable feat of strength. This ability is due to the ant's body structure, which is optimized for lifting. Ants use this strength to transport food and building materials back to their colony. The Arctic fox has fur that changes color with the seasons, providing camouflage in both summer and winter. The fur is brown in summer and white in winter, helping the fox blend in with its surroundings. This adaptation is crucial for survival in the harsh Arctic environment. The giraffe's spots are unique to each individual, much like human fingerprints. The spots provide camouflage and help regulate body temperature. The pattern is formed by blood vessels beneath the skin, which release heat when needed. The dolphin has a complex social structure, with pods that can include dozens of individuals. They communicate using clicks, whistles, and body language. Dolphins are known for their intelligence and playful behavior. The housefly can taste with its feet, using sensory hairs to detect food. The fly lands on potential food sources and samples them with its feet before eating. This adaptation helps the fly avoid toxic or unsuitable food. The sea otter uses a stone as a tool to crack open shellfish, which it stores in a pouch under its arm. This is one of the few examples of tool use in marine mammals. The sea otter is also one of the few animals that use rocks as tools. The cheetah is the fastest land animal, capable of reaching speeds up to 70 miles per hour. It can accelerate from 0 to 60 in just a few seconds. The cheetah's speed comes from its lightweight body and flexible spine. The elephant uses its trunk for feeding, drinking, and social interaction, with over 40,000 muscles in the organ. The trunk is extremely sensitive and can grasp objects as small as a single leaf. It's one of the most versatile appendages in the animal kingdom. The cat's whiskers are sensitive to air currents, helping them detect objects in the dark. The whiskers are connected to nerve endings that send signals to the brain. They provide important sensory information about the environment. The penguin can't fly, but it's an excellent swimmer, using its flippers to propel through the water. The penguin's wings are adapted for swimming, not flying. They are social animals, forming large colonies for breeding and protection. The honeybee uses a waggle dance to communicate the location of food to other bees. The dance conveys distance and direction, allowing the hive to efficiently collect resources. It's a sophisticated form of animal communication. The worm has no eyes, but it's sensitive to light through photoreceptor cells on its skin. This sensitivity allows the worm to avoid bright light, which could be dangerous. The worm's simple nervous system is sufficient for its survival. The llama has a high-pitched hum that it uses to communicate with other llamas. The humming sound is a form of social communication, expressing various emotions. Llamas are also known for their stubbornness, often refusing to move when overburdened. The rabbit's teeth never stop growing, which means they must constantly gnaw on food to keep them trimmed. This continuous growth is an adaptation to their herbivorous diet. Rabbits also have a high reproductive rate, making them common in many ecosystems. The mouse can fit through a hole the size of a pencil, thanks to its flexible ribs. This ability allows them to access tight spaces and hide from predators. Mice are highly adaptable, living in a wide range of environments. The pigeon can recognize itself in a mirror, a sign of self-awareness. And this ability is rare in the animal kingdom and is shared with only a few species. Pigeons are also known for their homing ability, which has been used for communication. The sea lion can swim at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour using its powerful flippers. Sea lions are also highly intelligent, capable of learning simple tricks. They are social animals, gathering in large colonies on beaches. The hedgehog has about 5,000 spines on its back, which it can raise to deter predators. The spines are made of keratin, the same material as human hair and nails. Hedgehogs are nocturnal, foraging for food in the dark. The oyster can change its sex multiple times during its lifetime, depending on environmental conditions. This flexibility helps the oyster reproduce in different circumstances. Oysters are also known for their ability to filter water, cleaning their environment. The bumblebee can fly at elevations of up to 30,000 feet, which is higher than Mount Everest. This ability is due to their strong flight muscles and efficient metabolism. Bumblebees are important pollinators, vital for many plants. The crow can remember human faces and hold grudges against those who have wronged them. This ability is a sign of their intelligence and social complexity. Crows have been observed passing this information to other crows. The seahorse is one of the few animals where the male gives birth to the young. The male has a brood pouch where the female deposits eggs, and he carries them until they hatch. This reversal of reproductive roles is rare in the animal kingdom. The panda has a sixth finger on its front paws, which is an extended wrist bone used to hold bamboo. This adaptation makes the panda an efficient bamboo eater, as it can grip the stalks firmly. The panda's diet is almost exclusively bamboo, despite being a carnivore. The flea can jump up to 200 times its body length, making it one of the best jumpers in the animal kingdom. This ability is due to their powerful leg muscles and elastic protein. Fleas are parasites, feeding on the blood of mammals and birds. The starfish can regenerate lost arms, regrowing them over time. This ability is due to their simple body plan and regenerative cells. Starfish are also able to regenerate other body parts, making them remarkably resilient. The bee's wings move in a figure-8 pattern, creating a humming sound that gives the insect its name. The wings beat about 200 times per second, producing the familiar buzz. The bee's flight is one of the most efficient in the animal kingdom. Let's turn to the geometry that surrounds us, the quiet mathematics hiding in plain sight in everyday objects. The spiral pattern of a sunflower follows the Fibonacci sequence, with the number of spirals usually being 55, 89, or 144. These are consecutive Fibonacci numbers, and they appear in the arrangement of the seeds. The pattern allows for the most efficient packing of seeds in the flower head, maximizing space and sunlight exposure. The golden ratio, approximately 1.618, appears in the proportions of the Parthenon in Greece, but it also appears in the proportions of a standard credit card. The ratio of the length to the width of a credit card is very close to the golden ratio. This proportion is often considered aesthetically pleasing, which is why it appears in architecture, art, and even the objects we carry in our wallets. The hexagon is the strongest shape for a honeycomb, using the least amount of wax for the most storage space. The hexagonal cells fit together perfectly, with no gaps between them. This efficient design allows bees to store the maximum amount of honey with the minimum amount of wax. It's a remarkable example of natural engineering. The shortest path between 2 points on a flat surface is a straight line, but on a sphere, the shortest path is a curve called a great circle. This is why airplane flight paths look curved on flat maps. They're following the great circle route, which is the shortest distance on the Earth's surface. The great circle is the equivalent of a straight line in spherical geometry. The sum of all the numbers on a roulette wheel, from 1 to 36, is 666. This is a simple mathematical sum, but it has a certain numerological resonance. The number is the sum of the integers from 1 to 36, which is calculated by the formula n times n plus 1 divided by 2. It's a coincidence, but it's often noted. The Earth is not a perfect sphere. It's an oblate spheroid, bulging at the equator and flattened at the poles. This shape is caused by the centrifugal force of the Earth's rotation, which pushes mass outward at the equator. The equatorial diameter is about 27 miles larger than the polar diameter. It's a subtle but measurable distortion. A clock's minute hand moves exactly 6 degrees every minute, as it completes a full 360-degree rotation in 60 minutes. This means it moves 1 degree every 10 seconds, a steady and predictable motion. The hour hand moves more slowly, at half a degree per minute. The consistent movement is what allows us to tell time so precisely. The number 0 was invented in India and introduced to the West by Arab mathematicians, who developed the concept of a placeholder in a positional number system. The 0 allowed for the representation of large numbers and the development of arithmetic. It's one of the most significant mathematical innovations in human history. The Pareto principle states that roughly 80% of effects come from 20% of causes. This principle appears in many fields, from economics to social science. For example, 80% of a company's sales often come from 20% of its customers. It's a pattern that appears remarkably often. The volume of a sphere is exactly 2/3 the volume of its surrounding cylinder, a relationship discovered by Archimedes. The cylinder must have the same height and diameter as the sphere. This neat ratio is a simple mathematical fact that Archimedes considered one of his greatest achievements. The study of geometric shapes and their properties is called geometry, from the Greek words for earth and measurement. Geometry has been practiced for thousands of years, with applications in surveying, architecture, and astronomy. It's one of the oldest branches of mathematics. A circle has 360 degrees, a number that likely comes from the ancient Babylonian base 60 number system. The Babylonians counted in 60s, not 10s, which is why we have 60 minutes in an hour and 360 degrees in a circle. The number is convenient because it's divisible by many factors. A triangle is the strongest geometric shape, which is why it's used in construction and engineering. The triangle's rigidity comes from the fact that its angles are fixed, unlike squares or rectangles which can be distorted. This stability makes it essential for bridges, roofs, and other structures. The area of a circle is calculated using the formula pi times the radius squared, a relationship that has been known for thousands of years. The symbol pi represents the ratio of the circumference to the diameter, approximately 3.14159. It's an irrational number, meaning its decimal representation never ends or repeats. A square is a rectangle with all 4 sides equal, which is a specific case of a rectangle. Every square is a rectangle, but not every rectangle is a square. The square has the highest area for a given perimeter among all rectangles. The cube is a 3-dimensional shape with 6 square faces, each meeting at right angles. It's a regular polyhedron, which means all its faces are identical. The cube is used in many applications, from dice to building blocks. The sphere is the shape with the smallest surface area for a given volume, making it efficient for containing liquids or gases. This is why bubbles and raindrops are spherical. The sphere is also the shape that rolls most easily, which is why wheels are circular. The pyramid is a shape with a polygonal base and triangular faces meeting at a point. The pyramids of Egypt are the most famous examples, but pyramids appear in many cultures. The shape is structurally stable, which is why it was used for large monuments. A rectangle with sides in the ratio of approximately 1.1.618 is considered aesthetically pleasing and is called the golden rectangle. This ratio appears in many works of art and architecture, from the Parthenon to the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci. The golden rectangle is often associated with harmony and proportion. The icosahedron is a polyhedron with 20 triangular faces, one of the 5 Platonic solids. It has the most faces of the 5 solids and is often used in games and puzzles. The icosahedron is also the shape of some viruses. The octahedron is a polyhedron with 8 triangular faces, another of the Platonic solids. It's a relatively simple shape but has interesting properties. The octahedron is the dual of the cube. The dodecahedron is a polyhedron with 12 pentagonal faces, one of the Platonic solids. It's the most complex of the 5, with a shape that appears in nature in some crystals. A line is a straight one-dimensional figure with no thickness and extending infinitely in both directions. In geometry, it's an abstract concept. A line segment is a finite portion of a line with two endpoints. Parallel lines are lines that never meet, no matter how far they are extended. This property is a fundamental concept in geometry. Parallel lines have the same slope and maintain a constant distance from each other. Perpendicular lines meet at right angles, forming a 90-degree angle. This concept is essential for creating squares, rectangles, and many other shapes. Perpendicular lines are common in architecture and engineering. A polygon is a closed shape made of line segments, with the simplest being a triangle. Polygons can have any number of sides, from 3 to many. The sum of the interior angles of a polygon depends on the number of sides. The circle's circumference is about 3.14 times its diameter, a relationship that holds for all circles. This constant is known as pi, and it's one of the most important numbers in mathematics. The circumference is the distance around the circle. The diameter of a circle is the longest chord, passing through the center. The radius is half the diameter, extending from the center to the edge. The radius and diameter are fundamental measurements for circles. A tangent is a line that touches a circle at exactly one point, without crossing it. The tangent is perpendicular to the radius at the point of contact. This property is used in geometry and trigonometry. The sine and cosine are trigonometric functions that describe the relationship between the angles and sides of a right triangle. These functions are essential in mathematics, physics, and engineering. The sine and cosine are periodic functions, repeating every 360 degrees. The Pythagorean theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. This theorem is one of the most famous in mathematics. It's been known and used for thousands of years. An angle is formed by two rays sharing a common endpoint, and it's measured in degrees or radians. Angles are classified as acute, right, obtuse, and straight, depending on their measure. Angles are fundamental to geometry and trigonometry. A coordinate system is a way of locating points on a plane using ordered pairs of numbers. The Cartesian coordinate system, developed by René Descartes, is the most common. It allows for the representation of geometric shapes algebraically. Symmetry is the property of being balanced or having parts that correspond in size and shape. Symmetry appears in nature and mathematics, from the petals of a flower to the pages of a book. It's a fundamental concept in geometry and design. The fractal is a shape that repeats itself at different scales, like the pattern on a fern or the coastlines of a map. Fractals are found in nature and mathematics, often generated by simple rules. They have infinite complexity. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities, showing how many times one value contains the other. Ratios are used in many contexts, from recipes to maps. They express proportional relationships. Proportion is a statement that two ratios are equal, often used in solving problems involving scaling. Proportions are used in art and architecture to create harmonious designs. The sine wave is a smooth, repetitive oscillation that describes many natural phenomena, such as sound, light, and water waves. The sine wave is one of the most important functions in mathematics and physics. The slope of a line is a measure of its steepness, calculated as the rise over the run. Slope is used in calculus and physics to describe rates of change. It's a fundamental concept in algebra and geometry. A zero of a function is a value of the variable that makes the function equal to zero. Zeros are important in algebra and calculus, often representing solutions to equations. The coordinate plane is divided into 4 quadrants, each with a different sign for the x and y coordinates. The quadrants help locate points and describe functions. A matrix is a rectangular array of numbers, often used in linear algebra and computer graphics. Matrices can represent transformations and systems of equations. They are a powerful mathematical tool. The vector is a quantity with both magnitude and direction, used in physics and engineering. Vectors can be added and subtracted, and they represent displacement, velocity, and force. They are essential for describing motion. The derivative is a measure of how a function changes as its input changes, a fundamental concept in calculus. Derivatives are used in optimization, physics, and economics. They represent instantaneous rates of change. The integral is a measure of the area under a curve, a concept in calculus used for accumulating quantities. Integrals are used in physics and engineering to compute volumes and sums. They are the inverse of derivatives. The equation of a line is typically given as y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. This form is simple and widely used. The equation of a line describes all the points on the line. A variable is a symbol that represents an unknown value, often used in equations. Variables allow us to generalize problems and find patterns. They are fundamental to algebra. The factorial of a number is the product of all positive integers up to that number, denoted by an exclamation mark. Factorials are used in combinatorics and probability. Exponents indicate how many times a number is multiplied by itself, a notation that simplifies large numbers. Exponents are used in many mathematical operations and are fundamental to algebra. A logarithm is the inverse operation to exponentiation, answering the question of what power produces a given number. Logarithms are used in many applications, from calculating pH to measuring sound intensity. They are essential in many fields of science and engineering. Let's consider the history of money, a concept that has taken many forms over the centuries. The first coins were minted in Lydia around 600 BCE, made of electrum, a natural alloy of gold and silver. These coins were stamped with images to certify their value and authenticity. They were a significant innovation, replacing the barter system with a standardized medium of exchange. The word salary comes from the Latin word for salt, because Roman soldiers were sometimes paid in it. Salt was a valuable commodity, essential for preserving food and maintaining health. The soldier's payment was called a salarium, which eventually became our word for regular compensation. The connection to salt has been lost over time, but the word remains. The largest bill ever printed by the United States was the $100,000 bill, featuring the portrait of Woodrow Wilson. These bills were never circulated among the public. They were used only for transactions between Federal Reserve banks. The bill was legal tender, but it was never intended for everyday use. It was discontinued in 1969. The euro is the second largest reserve currency in the world, after the US dollar. It's used by 19 of the 27 European Union countries. The euro was introduced in 1999 as an electronic currency, and later as physical notes and coins. It's now a major global currency, used in international trade and finance. The symbol for the dollar has several possible origins, with the most common theory being that it derives from the Spanish peso, or the Pillars of Hercules. The symbol may have evolved from the abbreviation for the Spanish peso, which was written as Ps. Over time, the letters were combined and simplified into the single character we recognize today. The exact origin remains debated. Credit cards were first used in the 1950s as a way to pay for dinner at a single restaurant. The Diners Club card was the first, allowing members to charge meals at participating restaurants. The idea spread quickly, and other companies began issuing credit cards for general use. The credit card industry has grown into a massive global business. The British pound sterling is the oldest currency still in use, dating back over 1,200 years. The pound was originally a unit of weight for silver, and it's been used as a currency since the Anglo-Saxon period. The pound is one of the most stable and respected currencies in the world. It costs about 2.4 cents to make a US penny, which is more than the penny's face value. This means the government loses money on every penny it produces. The cost of materials and production has increased over time, making the penny uneconomical. There have been periodic discussions about eliminating the penny, but it remains in circulation. The first paper money was developed in China during the Tang Dynasty, around the 7th century. The paper was backed by the government's promise to redeem it in coins. The system was later adopted in Europe, where paper money became a standard part of the financial system. It's now the primary form of currency in most countries. The phrase "in the red" comes from the accounting practice of using red ink to denote losses. Red ink was used to highlight negative numbers, while black ink was used for positive ones. This practice dates back to the early days of bookkeeping. The phrase is now used to describe any situation where expenses exceed income. The study of money and its history is called numismatics, which involves the collection and study of coins, paper money, and other forms of currency. Numismatists examine the design, production, and historical significance of money. The field provides insight into the economic and cultural history of civilizations. The first known currency was used in Mesopotamia around 3000 BCE, where barley was used as a medium of exchange. The barley was measured in standardized units called shekels, which were used for trade. The system was later replaced by metal coins, which were more durable and portable. The word dollar comes from the German word thaler, which was a large silver coin used in Europe. The thaler was widely circulated and became a standard for trade. The word entered English through the Dutch daalder, and it eventually became the name for the U.S. currency. The dollar is now one of the most important currencies in the world. The first coin with a date on it was minted in 61 BCE during the Roman Republic. The date was stamped on the coin to certify its authenticity and year of production. This practice became standard for coins worldwide. The date helps numismatists track the history of coinage. The first banknotes in Europe were issued by Swedish banks in the 17th century, though the Chinese had been using paper money for centuries. The European notes were initially a promise to pay the bearer in coins. The system gradually evolved into fiat currency, which has no intrinsic value but is backed by government decree. The penny was first minted in the United States in 1793, and it's been in continuous production ever since. The design has changed several times, but the denomination remains. The penny is the lowest value coin in U.S. currency. The nickel is worth 5 cents and was first minted in 1866. The coin is made of a copper-nickel alloy, which gives it its distinctive silver color. The nickel has become a staple of U.S. coinage, used in daily transactions. The dime is the smallest U.S. coin, both in diameter and thickness. It's worth 10 cents and was first minted in 1796. The dime's small size is due to its silver content, which was more valuable when the coin was first produced. The dime is still an important part of the currency system. The quarter is worth 25 cents and was first minted in 1796. The quarter is one of the most commonly used coins in the United States. The design has featured George Washington since 1932, making it one of the most recognizable coins. The $50 is worth 50 cents and was first minted in 1794. The coin is less common than smaller denominations, but it's still produced. The $50 is often used by collectors and for special occasions. The dollar coin has been produced in various forms, from silver dollars to the modern Sacagawea dollar. The dollar coin has never been as popular as the dollar bill, but it remains in production. The coin is used in vending machines and public transit. The first U.S. paper currency was issued in 1861 to finance the Civil War. The paper money was called greenbacks because of its green color. The currency was backed by government promise, not by gold or silver. It was the beginning of the modern U.S. monetary system. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States, responsible for issuing currency and setting monetary policy. The Fed was established in 1913 to provide a stable currency and regulate the banking system. It's now one of the most influential financial institutions in the world. The gold standard was a system where the value of currency was tied to a specific amount of gold. The United States used the gold standard until 1971, when President Nixon suspended the convertibility of dollars into gold. The system had been in place for decades, but it was abandoned to allow more flexible monetary policy. The term counterfeit comes from the Latin contra, meaning against, and facere, meaning to make. so it means to make against the law. Counterfeiting is the act of producing fake currency, and it's been a crime for centuries. Governments have developed increasingly sophisticated security features to prevent counterfeiting. The security features on modern currency include watermarks, holograms, and microprinting. These features are difficult to replicate, making counterfeiting more challenging. The technology has advanced significantly in recent decades, with new features being added regularly. The average lifespan of a US paper bill is about 5 to 15 years, depending on the denomination. Smaller bills are used more often, so they wear out faster. The Federal Reserve withdraws damaged bills from circulation and replaces them with new ones. The largest denomination currently printed in the United States is the $100 bill. The $100 bill is the most widely used denomination for large transactions. It's also the most counterfeited US currency outside the United States. The euro was first introduced as an electronic currency in 1999 and as physical notes in 2002. The currency was adopted by 11 European Union countries initially. The euro is now used by 19 countries and has become a major global reserve currency. The Japanese yen is the third most traded currency in the world, after the US dollar and the euro. The yen was introduced in 1871 as part of the Meiji government's modernization efforts. It's now a key currency in international finance. The British pound is the fourth most traded currency in the world after the yen. The pound is one of the oldest currencies still in use. It's also one of the most stable, making it a safe haven for investors. The Swiss franc is a major currency, known for its stability and safety. Switzerland's neutrality and strong economy have made the franc a popular currency for international investors. The franc is often considered a safe haven currency. The Chinese yuan is the fifth most traded currency in the world, reflecting China's growing economic influence. The yuan was introduced in 1949 and has become increasingly important in global trade. It's now included in the IMF's basket of reserve currencies. The Canadian dollar is a commodity currency, often influenced by the price of oil and natural resources. The Canadian dollar is also one of the most traded currencies in the world. It's widely used in trade between Canada and the United States. The Australian dollar is also a commodity currency, influenced by the prices of minerals and agricultural products. The Australian dollar is one of the most traded currencies in the Asia-Pacific region. It's a key currency for trade with China. The first debit card was introduced in the 1970s, allowing customers to make electronic payments directly from their bank accounts. The debit card was a significant innovation, reducing the need for checks and cash. It's now a standard part of the banking system. The first credit card with a magnetic stripe was introduced in the 1960s, allowing for electronic processing. The magnetic stripe was a significant advancement, making credit card transactions faster and more secure. The technology is still used today, though it's being replaced by chip and contactless payments. Let's turn to the very thing you're trying to do right now, sleep, and the quiet mechanics of how it works. The record for the longest someone has gone without sleep is 11 days, or 264 hours. This was set by Randy Gardner in 1964, who stayed awake for a school science project. He experienced significant cognitive impairment, hallucinations, and mood changes by the end. It's a testament to how essential sleep is for normal function. Humans spend about 1/3 of their lives sleeping, which adds up to roughly 25 years for someone who lives to 75. That's a significant portion of your existence, spent in a state of unconsciousness. The body uses this time for repair, memory consolidation, and hormone regulation. It's not wasted time, it's essential time. The word nightmare comes from the Old English mare, which referred to a mythological demon that sat on sleepers' chests. The mare was thought to cause suffocation and bad dreams, which is where the word gets its meaning. Over time, the demonic association faded, and the word came to mean any frightening dream. The linguistic root is preserved, even if the belief is gone. The average person falls asleep in about 7 minutes, though this can vary widely based on fatigue and environment. Some people fall asleep almost instantly, while others take much longer. The time to fall asleep is influenced by stress, caffeine, and sleep habits. It's a quiet statistic that most people don't think about. Sleep deprivation is similar to the cognitive impairment of being intoxicated, with both affecting reaction time and judgment. After about 17 hours without sleep, your performance is equivalent to a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. After 24 hours, it's comparable to 0.10%, which is above the legal driving limit in many places. It's a dangerous state that many people underestimate. The human body's circadian rhythm runs on a cycle of roughly 24.2 hours, reset daily by exposure to light. This internal clock governs when you feel alert and when you feel sleepy. It's slightly longer than a day, which is why you need external cues to keep it synchronized. The rhythm is influenced by light, temperature, and social activities. During REM sleep, your brain is almost as active as when you are awake, with rapid eye movements and vivid dreams. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and it's the stage where most dreaming occurs. The brain is processing information and consolidating memories during this phase. It's a period of intense neural activity, despite the body being immobile. The temperature of your body drops slightly when you are about to fall asleep, a natural signal that it's time to rest. This drop is part of the circadian rhythm, preparing the body for sleep. The core temperature decreases by about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit during the night. It's one of the many physiological changes that occur during sleep. Snoring is caused by the vibration of the soft palate and uvula, which relax during sleep and narrow the airway. The vibration produces the characteristic sound, which can range from a gentle rumble to a loud noise. Snoring is more common in people who sleep on their backs or who have nasal congestion. It's a common but often annoying sleep phenomenon. The record for the longest someone has slept was over 11 days, but this was due to a rare neurological condition, not a voluntary choice. The individual likely had a disorder that caused excessive sleepiness. This is not something that can be replicated by healthy individuals. The record is a medical curiosity, not a goal. The study of sleep and its disorders is called somnology, which examines the physiological and psychological aspects of sleep. Somnologists study sleep patterns, sleep disorders, and the effects of sleep deprivation. The field has grown significantly with the development of sleep laboratories and monitoring equipment. The average person moves about 40 to 60 times during sleep, changing positions to avoid discomfort. These movements are usually unconscious and brief, often not waking the sleeper. The movements are more frequent during lighter stages of sleep. They help maintain blood circulation and prevent pressure sores. The first sleep laboratory was established in the 1950s, allowing researchers to study sleep in a controlled environment. The lab used electroencephalography to measure brain waves during sleep. This research led to the discovery of REM sleep and the sleep cycle. It was a major advancement in understanding sleep. The sleep cycle consists of 4 stages, including REM and 3 stages of non-REM sleep. Each cycle lasts about 90 minutes and repeats 4 to 5 times per night. The stages progress from light sleep to deep sleep, and then to REM. The cycle is essential for restorative sleep. Deep sleep, also known as slow-wave sleep, is the most restorative stage of sleep. It's characterized by slow brain waves and is when the body repairs tissues and strengthens the immune system. Deep sleep is most common in the first half of the night. It's essential for physical recovery. REM sleep is the stage where most dreaming occurs, and it's characterized by rapid eye movements and increased brain activity. REM sleep is important for memory consolidation and emotional processing. The stage is most common in the second half of the night. It's essential for cognitive function. The pineal gland produces melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep-wake cycles. Melatonin production increases in the evening, signaling the body that it's time to sleep. The hormone is influenced by light exposure, with bright light suppressing production. Melatonin supplements are sometimes used for sleep disorders. The body's natural sleep-wake cycle is called the circadian rhythm, which is influenced by light and darkness. The rhythm is generated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain. It regulates sleep, hormone release, and body temperature. The rhythm can be disrupted by shift work or jet lag. Sleep apnea is a disorder characterized by pauses in breathing during sleep, often caused by a blocked airway. The pauses can last from a few seconds to over a minute, disrupting sleep. Sleep apnea is associated with snoring and daytime fatigue. It's a common but treatable condition. Insomnia is a sleep disorder characterized by difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, affecting millions of people. Insomnia can be short-term or chronic and is often related to stress or anxiety. It's one of the most common sleep disorders. It can significantly impact daily functioning. Narcolepsy is a neurological disorder characterized by excessive daytime sleepiness and sudden sleep attacks. People with narcolepsy may fall asleep unexpectedly during daily activities. The condition is caused by a deficiency of hippocratin, a neurotransmitter. It's a rare but serious sleep disorder. The average sleep duration for adults is 7 to 9 hours per night, though individual needs vary. Some people function well on 6 hours, while others need 10. The optimal sleep duration is influenced by genetics, age, and lifestyle. It's a personal and variable number. Sleep deprivation has been linked to a range of health problems, including obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Chronic lack of sleep disrupts hormonal balance and increases inflammation. It also affects cognitive function, mood, and immune response. It's a significant public health concern. The first sleep medication was developed in the 19th century, using barbiturates to induce sleep. These drugs were effective, but had significant side effects and risks. Modern sleep medications are safer but still carry risks of dependence. They are generally used for short-term treatment of insomnia. The phrase "sleeping like a baby" refers to the deep, restful sleep that infants experience, though they wake frequently for feeding. Baby sleep is characterized by frequent REM cycles, which is different from adult sleep. The phrase is used to describe a peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. It's a common but misleading expression. The position you sleep in can affect your health, with side sleeping being recommended for most people. Side sleeping reduces the risk of snoring and sleep apnea. It's also better for digestion and can reduce back pain. Back sleeping is associated with more snoring. The term night owl refers to people who prefer to stay up late and wake up late, while morning lark refers to early risers. These preferences are influenced by genetics and circadian rhythms. Both patterns are normal, though society often favors early risers. The terms reflect natural variations in sleep timing. The first dream journal was likely kept by ancient civilizations, who believed dreams had prophetic meaning. Dream interpretation has been practiced for thousands of years across many cultures. The scientific study of dreams began in the 20th century with Freud and Jung. Dreams remain a subject of fascination and study. The phrase "sleep on it" suggests that taking time to rest can help with decision-making. Sleep allows the brain to process information and consolidate memories, which can improve judgment. The phrase has some basis in research, which shows that sleep enhances problem-solving. It's a practical piece of advice. The average person experiences about 4 to 6 dreams per night, though most are quickly forgotten. Dreams occur during REM sleep and can be vivid, bizarre, or mundane. The content of dreams is influenced by daily experiences and emotions. Most dreams are forgotten within minutes of waking. The term lucid dream refers to a dream in which the dreamer is aware that they are dreaming. Lucid dreaming allows the dreamer to control the dream content to some extent. It's a skill that can be developed with practice. It's a fascinating aspect of sleep consciousness. The first sleep study in a laboratory used electroencephalography to measure brain waves during sleep. The study showed that sleep is an active process, not a passive state. The findings led to the discovery of sleep cycles and REM sleep. It was a major breakthrough in sleep research. The human body produces growth hormone during deep sleep, which is essential for growth and repair. Growth hormone is released in pulses during sleep, primarily in children and adolescents. The production decreases with age, but it still occurs in adults. It's one of the many hormonal changes that occur during sleep. The term siesta refers to a short nap taken in the afternoon, common in many cultures. The siesta is often taken after lunch, when the body naturally experiences a dip in alertness. The practice is common in hot climates, where it helps people avoid the midday heat. It's a traditional part of daily life in many countries. The first alarm clock was invented in ancient Greece, using water to mark the passage of time. The clock was designed to wake people at a set time, using a mechanism that produced a sound. The modern alarm clock was developed in the 19th century with mechanical bells. It's now a common household item. The phrase beauty sleep refers to the belief that sleep improves physical appearance, which has some basis in reality. During sleep, the skin repairs itself and produces collagen, which maintains elasticity. Lack of sleep can lead to dark circles, puffy eyes, and dull skin. The phrase has some truth to it. The average sleep temperature is around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is considered optimal for rest. A cooler room helps the body lower its core temperature, which promotes sleep. A warmer room can disrupt sleep and cause restlessness. The room temperature is a small but important factor for sleep quality. The term jet lag refers to the disruption of the circadian rhythm caused by traveling across time zones. Jet lag causes fatigue, insomnia, and digestive problems. The severity depends on the number of time zones crossed and the direction of travel. It's a temporary condition that usually resolves within a few days. The first electric blanket was invented in the early 20th century, providing warmth and comfort during sleep. The blanket used heating elements to warm the bed, which was a significant innovation. Electric blankets are still used today, though they have safety features to prevent overheating. They're a popular comfort item. The phrase, "sleep like a log," means to sleep very soundly, without waking during the night. The phrase is used to describe a deep, restful sleep. It implies that the sleeper is immobile, like a log. It's a common expression for a good night's sleep. The first pillow was made of stone or wood in ancient civilizations, used to support the head during sleep. The materials were hard, but elevated the head, which was considered beneficial for health. Modern pillows are made of softer materials, providing comfort and support. The pillow has evolved significantly. The term sleep hygiene refers to the habits and practices that promote good sleep, such as consistent bedtimes and a comfortable environment. Good sleep hygiene includes avoiding caffeine and screens before bed. It also includes keeping a regular sleep schedule. It's an important part of sleep health. The average person wakes up about 15 times during the night, though most awakenings are brief and forgotten. These awakenings occur naturally during sleep cycle transitions. They're usually harmless and don't affect the quality of sleep. It's a normal part of the sleep process. The first mattress was likely a pile of leaves or straw, providing a soft surface for sleeping. The concept of a mattress has evolved over time, with modern mattresses offering support and comfort. The mattress is a crucial part of sleep health. It's an investment in rest. The phrase "hit the hay" means to go to sleep, referring to the haystacks that were once used as mattresses. The phrase is now used casually to mean going to bed. It's a simple, folksy expression. It reflects the history of sleeping materials. Let's turn to the quiet world of plants, organisms that move and react in slow motion, often unnoticed. Bamboo is the fastest-growing woody plant, capable of growing up to 35 inches in a single day. That's nearly 3 feet of growth in just 24 hours, visible to the naked eye if you watch carefully. The growth rate is due to the plant's unique cellular structure, which allows for rapid expansion. It's one of the most remarkable growth rates in the plant kingdom. The oldest known living organism is a bristlecone pine in California, estimated to be over 5,000 years old. The tree, named Methuselah, has been alive since before the pyramids were built. It stands in the White Mountains, surviving harsh conditions and extreme temperatures. The tree's age is a testament to its resilience and the slow pace of its growth. The smell of fresh-cut grass is actually a plant's distress signal, released when the grass is damaged. The scent is a chemical compound called green leaf volatiles, which alert neighboring plants to potential danger. The smell is pleasant to humans, but it's a signal of stress for the grass. It's a reminder that plants are constantly communicating. There are more trees on Earth than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Estimates suggest there are about 3 trillion trees on the planet, compared to about 100 billion stars in the galaxy. That means there are roughly 30 trees for every star, a striking comparison. The number of trees has declined significantly due to human activity. A sunflower is made up of thousands of tiny flowers called florets, each capable of producing a seed. The large yellow head is actually a cluster of many small flowers, arranged in a spiral pattern. The florets are organized to maximize pollination and seed production. The sunflower is a composite flower, not a single bloom. The largest flower in the world is the Rafflesia arnoldii, which can weigh up to 15 pounds and measure 3 feet across. The flower has no leaves, stems, or roots, and it parasitizes a host vine. It's native to the rainforests of Southeast Asia and is known for its foul odor, which attracts flies for pollination. It's a remarkable and unusual plant. Apples float in water because they are about 25% air, which makes them less dense than water. The air spaces in the apple's flesh provide buoyancy, allowing it to float. This is why bobbing for apples is a popular game. The apples stay on the surface. The air content also affects the apple's texture and crispness. Onions contain a chemical called syn-propanethyl S-oxide, which reacts with the water in your eyes to produce sulfuric acid. The acid irritates the eyes, causing tears to flush out the irritant. The reaction is triggered when the onion cells are damaged by cutting. It's a defense mechanism that discourages animals from eating the onion. The color of a pepper changes from green to red, yellow, or orange as it ripens, increasing its vitamin C content. The ripening process involves the breakdown of chlorophyll and the production of carotenoids, which give the pepper its color. The ripe pepper is sweeter and more nutritious than the unripe one. The color change is a sign of maturity. The Amazon rainforest produces about 20% of the world's oxygen, making it a vital component of the global ecosystem. The rainforest is often called the lungs of the earth because of its oxygen production. However, the rainforest also consumes a significant amount of oxygen through respiration. The net oxygen production is smaller than often claimed. The study of plants is called botany, which includes the study of plant physiology, ecology, and evolution. Botanists examine how plants grow, reproduce, and interact with their environment. The field is essential for agriculture, conservation, and medicine. Botany is one of the oldest scientific disciplines. The Venus flytrap is a carnivorous plant that catches insects with its specialized leaves. The leaves snap shut when trigger hairs are touched, trapping the insect inside. The plant then digests the insect with enzymes, obtaining nutrients from its prey. The Venus flytrap is native to the wetlands of North and South Carolina. The giant sequoia is the largest tree by volume, with some specimens exceeding 50 feet in diameter. The trees can live for thousands of years and are among the most massive organisms on Earth. They are native to the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. The sequoia's size is awe-inspiring, a testament to the power of slow growth. The smallest flowering plant is the wolffia, which is about the size of a grain of rice. The plant floats on water and reproduces rapidly, covering the surface of ponds. It's a simple plant with no roots or leaves, just a small green body. The wolffia is one of the simplest flowering plants in existence. The dandelion is a common weed that produces a puffball of seeds, each attached to a parachute of fine hairs. The seeds are dispersed by the wind, allowing the plant to spread widely. The dandelion is a hardy plant, able to grow in many conditions. It's often considered a weed, but it has many uses. The acorn is the seed of the oak tree, and each acorn contains a single seed. The acorn is a nutritious food source for many animals, including squirrels and birds. The oak tree produces millions of acorns over its lifetime, but only a few will become new trees. The acorn is a symbol of potential and growth. The cactus stores water in its fleshy stem, allowing it to survive in arid environments. The stem is covered in spines, which protect the plant from herbivores and reduce water loss. Cacti are native to the Americas and are adapted to hot, dry conditions. They are a classic example of desert adaptation. The fern is a primitive plant that reproduces by spores, not seeds. Ferns are among the oldest plants on Earth, dating back millions of years. They are found in many environments, from forests to deserts. Ferns are a living link to the ancient plant world. The moss is a small, non-vascular plant that grows in damp environments. Mosses are among the simplest plants, with no true roots or leaves. They are often found in forests, where they cover rocks and soil. Mosses are important for the ecosystem, providing habitat for small animals. The bluebell is a spring-flowering plant that creates carpets of blue in woodlands. The flowers are bell-shaped and hang from a curved stem. Bluebells are native to Europe and are a sign of ancient woodlands. They are a beautiful and beloved wildflower. The ivy is a climbing plant that attaches itself to walls and trees with small roots. The roots secrete a sticky substance that allows the ivy to adhere to surfaces. Ivy is a common plant in gardens and forests, often used for decoration. It's a versatile and hardy plant. The orchid is one of the largest flowering plant families, with over 25,000 species. Orchids are known for their complex and beautiful flowers, which come in many colors and shapes. They are found on every continent except Antarctica. Orchids are highly prized by collectors and gardeners. The rose is a classic garden plant, known for its fragrant flowers and thorny stems. Roses have been cultivated for thousands of years and come in many varieties. The flower is often associated with love and beauty. Roses are among the most popular flowers in the world. The tulip is a bulbous plant that produces large, colorful flowers in spring. Tulips are native to Central Asia and were introduced to Europe in the 16th century. They became a symbol of wealth and status in the Netherlands during the tulip mania. The tulip is still a popular garden flower. The sunflower follows the sun across the sky, a behavior called heliotropism. The flower head turns to face the sun during the day, maximizing light absorption. This movement is driven by growth hormones that cause the stem to bend. The sunflower's name reflects this behavior. The pine tree produces cones that contain its seeds, which are released when the cone opens. The cone is a reproductive structure, with male and female cones on the same tree. The pine tree is an evergreen, retaining its needles year-round. It's a common tree in cooler climates. The maple tree produces winged seeds that are dispersed by the wind, spinning like tiny helicopters. The wings slow the seed's descent, allowing it to travel farther from the parent tree. The maple is a popular tree for its vibrant fall colors. It's also the source of maple syrup. The willow tree is known for its flexible branches and ability to grow near water. The willow is often associated with sadness and mourning. The tree's bark contains salicin, which was used as a pain reliever before aspirin. The willow is a versatile and useful tree. The poppy is a flowering plant known for its red flowers, which are a symbol of remembrance. The poppy has a long history of use as a painkiller, as it contains morphine. The plant is often grown for its medicinal and ornamental value. The lavender is a fragrant plant, used in perfumes and for relaxation. The plant's essential oils are known for their calming properties. Lavender is often used in aromatherapy and sleep products. It's a popular and versatile herb. The mint is a fast-growing herb, known for its distinctive flavor and aroma. Mint is used in cooking, teas, and cosmetics. The plant is easy to grow and spreads quickly. It's a common and useful garden plant. The oak tree is a symbol of strength and endurance, known for its long lifespan and hard wood. Oaks are found in many climates and are an important part of forest ecosystems. The oak tree is a classic and beloved tree. The willow's flexible branches have been used for weaving baskets and furniture for centuries. The wood is lightweight and strong, making it ideal for crafts. Willow weaving is a traditional craft in many cultures. It's a sustainable and beautiful art form. The acorn is a food source for many animals and has been used by humans in times of scarcity. The acorn is high in tannins, which must be removed before eating. It's a nutritious but overlooked food source. The birch tree is known for its white bark, which peels off in thin layers. The bark is often used for writing and art. The birch is a common tree in northern climates. It's a distinctive and beautiful tree. The magnolia is an ancient flowering plant, with fossils dating back millions of years. The magnolia's flowers are large and fragrant, often white or pink. The tree is native to the Americas and Asia. It's a popular ornamental tree. The fern is a symbol of sincerity and magic in many cultures. The fern's fronds are often used in floral arrangements and decorations. The fern is a graceful and ancient plant. The cactus is a symbol of resilience and endurance in harsh environments. The cactus is often associated with deserts and the American Southwest. It's a unique and beloved plant. The ivy is a symbol of fidelity and friendship in many cultures. The ivy's ability to cling to walls and trees makes it a symbol of enduring relationships. It's a common and versatile plant. The lily is a classic garden flower, known for its large, fragrant blooms. Lilies come in many colors and are often used in weddings and celebrations. The lily is a symbol of purity and beauty. The violet is a small, often overlooked flower that grows in woodlands and gardens. The violet is known for its sweet fragrance and delicate petals. It's a charming and humble flower. Let's turn to the names of the brands we encounter every day, labels that started as arbitrary choices but became household words. Nike is named after the Greek word for victory, which was the name of the goddess of victory in ancient mythology. The company chose the name to represent success and achievement in sports. The name is now synonymous with athletic excellence, divorced from its mythological origins. Lego comes from the Danish phrase leg godt, which means play well. The company was founded in Denmark in 1932, and the name was chosen to reflect the purpose of the toys. The word also happens to mean I put together in Latin, which is a happy coincidence. The name has become one of the most recognized in the world. Google was a misspelling of Google, a mathematical term for the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. The founders chose the name to represent the vast amount of information the search engine could handle. The misspelling was accidental, but it stuck. The name is now a verb, meaning to search for information online. IKEA is an acronym for Ingvar Kamprad, the founder, Elmtarid, the farm where he grew up, and Agunarid, the village where the farm was located. The name was created by combining these three elements into a single word. It's a simple, personal name that has become a global brand. The company is known for its flat-pack furniture and Swedish design. Pepsi was named for the digestive enzyme pepsin, which the creator claimed was contained in the beverage. The original formula was marketed as a digestive aid, though it was later reformulated as a cola. The name reflects the early marketing strategy, which focused on health benefits. It's a name that has outlasted its original purpose. Adidas is named after its founder, Adolf Dassler, who was known as Adi to his friends. The name combines Adi and Das from his surname. The common myth that it stands for "all day I dream about sports" is an invention. The name is a simple, personal one that has become a global symbol of athletic wear. Kodak was chosen by George Eastman because he wanted a name that started with K, which he thought was a strong, memorable letter. He also wanted a short, easy-to-pronounce name. The name was designed to be distinctive and easy to remember. It's a simple, invented word that became iconic. Fanta was created during World War II, when Coca-Cola couldn't import syrup to Germany. The name was suggested during a brainstorming session, possibly from the German word for imagination or fantasy. The flavor was developed from local ingredients, and the name stuck. It's now a popular soft drink in many countries. M&M's stands for Mars and Murray, the two candy makers who partnered to create the chocolates. Forrest Mars and Bruce Murray formed the partnership, and the name combines their surnames. The candy was originally developed for the military, as the hard shell prevented melting. The name is a simple, functional one. Xerox was coined to represent dry writing, as the company developed dry copying technology. The name was derived from the Greek word xeros, meaning dry. The company chose the name to reflect its innovative technology. The name has become synonymous with photocopying. The study of brand names and their origins is called onomastics, which examines the history and meaning of names. Onomastics covers personal names, place names, and brand names. The field provides insight into how names are chosen and how they evolve. The name Kleenex comes from the word clean and the suffix "x", which suggests a product. The name was chosen to evoke cleanliness and purity. The tissue was originally marketed as a cold cream remover, not a disposable handkerchief. The name is now generic for facial tissues. The name Band-Aid combines bandage and aid, suggesting a product that helps heal wounds. The name was chosen to be descriptive and easy to remember. The product was invented by a Johnson & Johnson employee for his wife, who frequently cut herself in the kitchen. The name has become a generic term for adhesive bandages. The name Velcro is derived from the French words velours, meaning velvet, and crochet, meaning hook, which describe the material's structure. The name was invented by the product's creator, who combined the two words. The material is a hook and loop fastener used in many applications. The name is now generic for the fastening system. The name Q-tip stands for quality tip, reflecting the product's original marketing. The cotton swab was invented by a Polish-American immigrant, who developed the product for his wife. The name is simple and descriptive, suggesting a high-quality product. The name Teflon is a blend of the words tetra, meaning four, and fluorine, describing the chemical structure of the material. The name was invented by the company that developed the non-stick coating. Teflon is used in cookware and many other applications. The name has become a generic term for non-stick surfaces. The name Scotch tape comes from the term Scotch, meaning cheap or stingy, as the tape was initially only applied to the edges of the roll. The tape was developed by a chemist named Richard Drew, who initially made a weak adhesive. The name was meant as a joke, but it stuck. The name Post-it refers to the note's ability to be repositioned, with posts suggesting they can be placed anywhere. The notes were developed by 3M scientists who accidentally created a low-tack adhesive. The name is descriptive and functional. The name Popsicle was invented by the product's creator, Frank Epperson, who originally called it an Epsicle. The name was later changed to Popsicle, a play on the word pop for soda. The name is now generic for frozen ice treats. The name Jell-O was chosen to suggest gelatin that jiggles, with the O added for a catchy sound. The product was developed by a cough syrup manufacturer who saw the potential for a dessert. The name is playful and descriptive. The name Spam was coined by a vice president at Hormel Foods who suggested the name as a combination of spiced and ham. The name was chosen for its brevity and memorability. The product became popular during World War II. The name Ziploc combines zip and lock, describing the bag's seal. The name was chosen to suggest easy closure and secure storage. The product is a popular storage bag. The name Xerox was chosen to reflect the dry copying process, as noted earlier. The name is simple and memorable. The name Kraft is the founder's surname, which means strength or power in German. The company was founded by James L. Kraft in 1903. The name is a personal one that has become a global brand. The name Ford is the founder's surname, Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automobile industry. The name is a personal one that has become a symbol of American manufacturing. The name Honda is the founder's surname, Soichiro Honda, who started the company as a manufacturer of piston rings. The name is a personal one that has become a global automotive brand. The name Toyota was originally Toyoda, the founder's surname, but the name was changed to Toyota because it was considered luckier in Japanese. The change involved replacing the da with ta, which has 8 strokes, considered an auspicious number. The name is now one of the most recognized automotive brands. The name Sony was chosen as a combination of the Latin word sonus, meaning sound, and the English word Sonny, meaning a young boy. The name was chosen to reflect the company's focus on audio and its youthful spirit. It's a unique and memorable name. The name Apple was chosen by Steve Jobs, who had worked on an apple farm and liked the simplicity of the name. He wanted a name that was friendly and approachable. The name is now a symbol of innovation and design. The name Amazon was chosen because the Amazon River is the largest river in the world, representing the company's ambition. The name was meant to suggest scale and scope. The company started as an online bookstore, but expanded into everything. The name Microsoft is a combination of microcomputer and software, reflecting the company's focus on personal computing. The name was chosen to describe the company's product area. It's a straightforward and descriptive name. The name Intel is a contraction of integrated electronics, reflecting the company's focus on semiconductor technology. The name was chosen to be short and distinctive. It's a simple name that has become a major brand. The name IBM stands for International Business Machines, reflecting the company's original focus on business computing. The name is an acronym that has become a symbol of corporate computing. The name HP stands for Hewlett-Packard, the surnames of the founders. The name is a simple, personal one that has become a major tech brand. The name is a simple, personal one that has become a major tech brand. The name Dell is the founder's surname, Michael Dell, who started the company in his dorm room. The name is a simple, personal one that has become a major tech brand. The name Cisco is a shortened version of San Francisco, where the company was founded. The name is a geographic reference, chosen for its simplicity. The name Oracle was chosen to represent the company's focus on database technology, as an oracle is a source of knowledge. The name is a metaphor for the company's products. The name Salesforce combines sales and force, suggesting a powerful sales tool. The name is descriptive and dynamic. The name eBay was originally EchoBay, the name of a consulting company, but it was shortened to eBay. The name is simple and memorable. The name PayPal combines pay and pal, suggesting a friendly payment system. The name is descriptive and approachable. The name Uber comes from the German word meaning above or over, suggesting superiority. The name was chosen to reflect the company's ambitions. The name Lyft suggests the lifting of a burden, reflecting the company's focus on transportation. The name is a metaphor for the service. The name Airbnb stands for Air Bed and Breakfast, reflecting the company's origin of renting air mattresses. The name is descriptive of the original service. The name Spotify combines spot and identify, reflecting the company's focus on music discovery. The name is a blend of two words. The name Netflix combines net for internet and flicks for movies, reflecting the company's focus on streaming films. The name is descriptive and modern. The name YouTube combines U and tube, an informal term for television. The name suggests user-generated content. The name Twitter was chosen to suggest the chirping of birds, representing short, frequent messages. The name is playful and descriptive. The name Instagram combines instant and telegram, suggesting instant photo sharing. The name is descriptive and catchy. The name Snapchat suggests quick, ephemeral communication, reflecting the app's focus on disappearing messages. The name is descriptive and modern. Let's turn to the physics of sound and silence, the measurable properties of what we hear and what we don't. The quietest place on Earth is a room at Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington, which measures -20.6 decibels. That's below the threshold of human hearing, which is 0 decibels. The room is an anechoic chamber, designed to absorb all sound and eliminate echoes. It's so quiet that you can hear your own heartbeat and the movement of your joints. Sound travels about 4 times faster through water than through air, moving at roughly 1,480 meters per second in water, compared to 343 meters per second in air. This difference is due to water's higher density and elasticity, which allow sound waves to propagate more efficiently. Whales and dolphins use this property to communicate over vast distances underwater. The speed of sound varies significantly depending on the medium. A sonic boom occurs when an object moves faster than the speed of sound, which is about 767 miles per hour at sea level. The boom is caused by the shock wave created by the object's movement, which compresses the air ahead of it. The sound is heard as a loud, explosive noise, often startling those nearby. Sonic booms are associated with supersonic aircraft and are a significant consideration in aviation. The frequency of a sound wave determines its pitch, with higher frequencies producing higher-pitched sounds. Humans can hear between approximately 20 Hz and 20,000 Hz, though the upper range decreases with age. This range varies among individuals and is influenced by genetics and exposure to loud noises. It's a remarkable range, covering about 10 octaves of sound. An echo is the reflection of sound, returning to you about 1/10 of a second after the original sound. The delay is caused by the time it takes for the sound to travel to a surface and back. This is why you hear an echo in a canyon or a large empty room. The timing of the echo depends on the distance to the reflecting surface. The loudest animal in the world is the blue whale, which can produce sounds up to 188 decibels. These low-frequency sounds travel thousands of miles through the ocean, used for communication and navigation. The blue whale's call is one of the most powerful sounds in the natural world. It's a testament to the scale of these enormous creatures. Dogs can hear frequencies up to about 45,000 Hz, which is well above the human range. This is why dog whistles, which produce high-frequency sounds, are inaudible to humans but clearly audible to dogs. Dogs use their acute hearing to detect sounds that we cannot perceive. It's a sensory ability that has been shaped by evolution. The speed of sound on Mars is slower than on Earth, due to the lower density of the Martian atmosphere. The speed is about 240 meters per second, compared to 343 meters per second on Earth. This difference affects how sound travels on the red planet, with sound carrying less effectively in the thinner air. The discovery was made using microphones on the Perseverance rover. Ultrasound is used in medical imaging because it travels well through soft tissue and reflects off different densities. The high-frequency sound waves create images of internal structures used for diagnostics and monitoring. Ultrasound is a safe, non-invasive imaging technique. It's widely used in prenatal care and other medical applications. The sound of a tree falling in the forest is a philosophical question, but physically, it creates pressure waves regardless of whether anyone hears them. The sound is a mechanical vibration, which exists even if there's no ear to perceive it. The question is more about perception than physics. The sound waves are real, but the experience of sound requires a receiver. The study of sound is called acoustics, which examines how sound waves are produced, transmitted, and received. Acousticians study everything from musical instruments to architectural acoustics. The field is essential for designing concert halls, headphones, and recording studios. Acoustics is a broad and practical discipline. The decibel scale is logarithmic, meaning that an increase of 10 decibels represents a 10-fold increase in sound intensity. This is why a sound at 60 decibels is 10 times more intense than one at 50 decibels. The scale is designed to match human hearing, which is also logarithmic. It's a useful way to measure sound levels. The human ear is a complex organ, with the outer ear collecting sound and directing it to the eardrum. The eardrum vibrates, sending signals through the middle ear bones to the inner ear. The inner ear converts the vibrations into electrical signals for the brain. It's a remarkable system, capable of detecting minute variations in pressure. The speed of sound in air is influenced by temperature, with warmer air allowing sound to travel faster. At freezing point, sound travels at about 331 meters per second, while at room temperature it's about 343 meters per second. The difference is due to the increased energy of the air molecules. Temperature is a significant factor in sound propagation. The first sound recording was made by Edouard Léon Scott de Martinville in 1860, using a device called a phonautograph. The recording was visual, not audible, but it captured sound waves on paper. Thomas Edison later developed the phonograph, which could both record and play back sound. The technology has evolved dramatically since then. The Doppler effect describes the change in frequency of a sound wave due to the relative motion of the source and observer. This is why a passing siren sounds higher in pitch as it approaches and lower as it recedes. The effect is named after the Austrian physicist Christian Doppler. It's a fundamental concept in wave physics. The human voice is produced by the vibration of the vocal cords, which are located in the larynx. The vibration creates sound waves, which are shaped by the mouth and throat into speech and singing. The pitch of the voice is determined by the tension and length of the vocal cords. It's a complex and individual instrument. The average speaking voice is about 60 decibels, which is comfortable for conversation. A whisper is about 30 decibels, while a shout can reach 80 decibels. The decibel level of speech varies with the situation and the speaker. It's a range that is well within human hearing. The quietest sound a human can hear is about 0 decibels, but this varies among individuals. The threshold of hearing is defined as the sound pressure level that is just barely audible. It's a measure of the human ear's sensitivity. The threshold can be affected by hearing loss and environmental factors. The first hearing aids were developed in the 17th century, using ear trumpets to amplify sound. These devices were simple and limited, but they helped people with hearing loss. Modern hearing aids use electronic amplification and digital processing. The technology has improved significantly over time. The term white noise refers to sound that contains all frequencies at equal intensity, creating a hissing or static sound. White noise is often used to mask other sounds and promote sleep. The name comes from the analogy to white light, which contains all colors. It's a common tool for sound masking. The human ear can detect differences in sound pressure as small as 1 decibel, which is a remarkable sensitivity. This allows us to perceive subtle variations in loudness. The ear is one of the most sensitive measuring instruments in the natural world. It's a finely tuned sensory organ. The first microphone was invented in the 19th century, using a diaphragm and a carbon granule to convert sound into electrical signals. This was a significant advancement, allowing for the transmission of sound over wires. The technology was used for early telephones and broadcasting. It's evolved into modern microphones. The term sonic boom was coined during World War II, when aircraft first broke the sound barrier. The boom was a startling phenomenon, often mistaken for an explosion. It's now a well-understood effect of supersonic flight. The term is widely used in aviation and popular culture. The speed of sound in water is about 4 times faster than in air, making underwater communication more efficient for marine animals. Whales and dolphins use this speed to communicate over long distances. The property is also used in sonar technology. The sound of a guitar string is produced by its vibration, which creates sound waves in the air. The pitch of the note is determined by the string's length, tension, and mass. This is the basis of string instruments. The vibration is transmitted to the body, which amplifies the sound. The first electronic synthesizer was developed in the 20th century, allowing for the creation of artificial sounds. The synthesizer generates sound waves electronically, which can be shaped and modulated. It revolutionized music production and sound design. The term background noise refers to ambient sound that is not the focus of attention. Background noise can include traffic, conversation, or the hum of machinery. It's often masked by other sounds. The human ear can detect sounds over a range of about 120 decibels, from the quietest whisper to the loudest rock concert. This range is remarkable, covering a million-fold increase in sound pressure. The sound of a heartbeat is caused by the closure of the heart valves, creating a distinct lub-dub sound. The sound is a normal part of heart function. It's often used in medical diagnostics. The term noise pollution refers to excessive or harmful levels of sound in the environment. Noise pollution can have negative effects on health and well-being. It's a growing concern in urban areas. The first soundproofing materials were developed in the early 20th century, using materials like fiberglass and foam to absorb sound. These materials are used in buildings and recording studios. The term acoustic insulation refers to materials that reduce sound transmission between spaces. Acoustic insulation is used in walls and floors to block noise. The human voice can be modified through training, allowing for singing and speaking in different pitches and tones. The voice is a flexible instrument, capable of significant variation. The sound of a thunderclap is caused by the rapid expansion of air heated by lightning. The expansion creates a shock wave, which we hear as thunder. The sound travels at the speed of sound, which is why we see lightning before we hear thunder. The term resonance refers to the tendency of an object to vibrate at certain frequencies, amplifying sound. Resonance is used in musical instruments and engineering. The first soundproof booth was developed for radio broadcasting, isolating the announcer from ambient noise. The booth was designed to reduce background noise and improve sound quality. The term soundstage refers to the acoustic environment of a recording studio or theater, designed for optimal sound reproduction. The soundstage is carefully controlled for recording and performance. The human ear can localize sound, determining its direction based on the time difference and intensity between the two ears. This ability is essential for spatial awareness. It's a fundamental aspect of hearing. Let's turn to the rules of sports, many of which are obscure and rarely encountered by the casual viewer. In fencing, the right-of-way rule determines who gets the point if both fencers hit simultaneously. The fencer who initiates the attack has the right-of-way, and the other must defend or parry. If both hit and neither has established right-of-way, no point is awarded. It's a complex system that rewards tactical aggression. Cricket matches can last up to 5 days and still end in a draw, which is called a tie in most other sports. The game is divided into innings, with each team batting until they are dismissed. If the match is not completed within the allotted time, it's a draw regardless of the score. This is a unique feature of cricket, frustrating to newcomers, but traditional for fans. The knot is the unit of speed for ships, based on the distance between knots on a log line. The log line was a rope with knots tied at regular intervals, thrown overboard to measure speed. The number of knots that passed through the sailor's hands in a fixed time gave the speed. The term is still used in maritime and aviation contexts. The Wimbledon grass is cut to exactly 8 millimeters in height during the tournament, ensuring consistent playing conditions. The grass is maintained meticulously throughout the event, with the height carefully controlled. The surface is one of the fastest in tennis, favoring serve and volley players. The precise measurement is part of the tournament's tradition. In curling, the stone must cross the far hog line to remain in play, otherwise it is removed. The hog line is a line near the far end of the sheet, and the stone must fully cross it to count. This rule prevents stones from being thrown too short. It's a simple but important rule in a sport of precise delivery. The eephus pitch in baseball is thrown with very low speed to confuse the batter, often described as a slow ball. The pitch is thrown with a high arc, resembling a softball pitch. It's rarely used, as it relies on surprise and deception. The pitch is a novelty in professional baseball. Chess grandmasters can burn up to 6,000 calories a day during tournaments due to intense mental stress. The brain is a demanding organ, consuming energy even during mental exertion. The stress of competition and the extended concentration contribute to the calorie burn. It's a physical toll that's often overlooked. The scrum in rugby occurs when the ball is deemed unplayable, involving 8 players from each side pushing against each other. The scrum is a contest for possession, with the hooker attempting to win the ball. It's a physical and tactical aspect of the game, requiring coordination and strength. The scrum is a signature feature of rugby. The length of a marathon is 26.2 miles, based on the distance from Marathon to Athens, but also adjusted for the royal family in 1908. The original distance was about 25 miles, but it was extended to 26.2 miles for the London Olympics. The change was made to allow the race to start at Windsor Castle and finish in front of the Royal Box. The distance became the standard. In pool, if you sink the 8-ball on the break, you usually win automatically, depending on the rules being used. Some rule sets call for a win, while others require a re-rack. The rule varies by league and tournament. It's a rare but exciting occurrence in the game. The study of sports and games is called sports science, which examines the physiological, psychological, and biomechanical aspects of athletic performance. Sports scientists work with athletes to improve performance and reduce injury. The field is interdisciplinary, combining many areas of expertise. The first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens in 1896, with 241 athletes from 14 nations competing. The Games were revived by Pierre de Coubertin, who sought to promote international understanding through sport. The modern Olympics have grown dramatically, with thousands of athletes from over 200 nations. It's the largest sporting event in the world. The marathon was introduced in the 1896 Olympics, inspired by the legend of Pheidippides, who ran from Marathon to Athens to announce victory. The race was originally about 25 miles, but it was later standardized to 26.2 miles. The marathon has become a symbol of endurance and determination. The first World Cup was held in 1930 in Uruguay, with 13 teams competing. The tournament was organized by FIFA, the international soccer governing body. Uruguay won the first tournament, defeating Argentina in the final. The World Cup is now the most watched sporting event in the world. The Super Bowl is the championship game of the National Football League, first played in 1967. The game is one of the most watched television events in the United States. The Super Bowl has become a cultural phenomenon, with commercials and halftime shows attracting as much attention as the game. The first Cricket World Cup was held in 1975 in England, with 8 teams competing. The tournament was organized by the International Cricket Council. The West Indies won the first tournament, defeating Australia in the final. The Cricket World Cup is now a major event. The first modern tennis tournament was held at Wimbledon in 1877, with 22 men competing. The tournament was organized by the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Wimbledon is the oldest tennis tournament in the world, and it's considered the most prestigious. The first golf tournament was held in Scotland in the 15th century, though the modern game developed later. The British Open, first played in 1860, is the oldest major golf championship. The tournament is played on links courses which are traditional in Scotland. Golf is a global sport with a rich history. The first automobile race was held in France in 1894, with competitors driving from Paris to Rouen. The race was organized by a French newspaper to promote the automobile. The event was a success, and it led to the development of auto racing. The race was about 79 miles long. The first Indianapolis 500 was held in 1911, with 40 cars competing. The race is held annually at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a 2.5-mile oval. The race is one of the most prestigious in auto racing. The winner receives a bottle of milk, a tradition that began in the 1930s. The first Tour de France was held in 1903, with 60 cyclists competing over 6 stages. The race was organized by a French newspaper to boost circulation. The Tour de France is now one of the most famous cycling events in the world. The race covers over 2,000 miles over 3 weeks. The first World Series was held in 1903, with the Boston Americans defeating the Pittsburgh Pirates. The World Series is the championship of Major League Baseball. The series is played in a best-of-7 format. The World Series is one of the oldest professional sports championships in the United States. The first NBA championship was held in 1947, with the Philadelphia Warriors defeating the Chicago Stags. The NBA is the premier professional basketball league in the world. The championship is played in a best-of-7 format. The NBA Finals are a major sporting event. The first Stanley Cup was awarded in 1893, originally to the Montreal Hockey Club. The Stanley Cup is the championship trophy of the National Hockey League. The Cup is the oldest professional sports trophy in North America, It's a symbol of hockey excellence. The first FIFA World Cup was held in 1930, as noted earlier, with 13 teams competing. The tournament is now held every 4 years, with 32 teams competing. It's the most watched sporting event in the world, with billions of viewers. The first Rugby World Cup was held in 1987, with 16 teams competing. The tournament is organized by World Rugby. New Zealand won the first tournament, defeating France in the final. The Rugby World Cup is a major international event. The first Commonwealth Games were held in 1930 in Hamilton, Canada, with 11 countries competing. The Games are held every 4 years, featuring sports from the Commonwealth nations. The Commonwealth Games are a significant event, though smaller than the Olympics. The first Asian Games were held in 1951 in New Delhi, India, with 11 countries competing. The Games are held every 4 years, featuring sports from across Asia. The Asian Games are a major event, with thousands of athletes participating. The first Pan American Games were held in 1951 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, with 21 countries competing. The Games are held every 4 years, featuring sports from the Americas. The Pan American Games are a significant event, though smaller than the Olympics. The first African Games were held in 1965 in Brazzaville, Congo, with 30 countries competing. The Games are held every 4 years, featuring sports from across Africa. The African Games are a significant event for the continent. The first Winter Olympics were held in 1924 in Chamonix, France, with 16 nations competing. The Winter Games feature sports like skiing, skating, and hockey. The Winter Olympics are now a major event held every 4 years. The first Paralympic Games were held in 1960 in Rome, Italy, with 23 countries competing. The Games are for athletes with disabilities, held after the Olympics. The Paralympics are a major event, promoting inclusion and athletic achievement. The first Youth Olympic Games were held in 2010 in Singapore, with 204 nations competing. The Games are for athletes aged 14 to 18, held every 2 years. The Youth Olympics are designed to encourage young athletes. The first Esports World Cup was held in 2023, with teams competing in various video games. Esports is a growing field, with millions of viewers worldwide. The World Cup is a major event in the esports calendar. The first National Football League Championship was held in 1933, with the Chicago Bears defeating the New York Giants. The NFL is the premier professional football league in the world. The championship is now called the Super Bowl. The first Australian Open was held in 1905, with 17 men competing. The Australian Open is one of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. It's held annually in Melbourne, Australia, in January. The first French Open was held in 1891, with 18 men competing. The French Open is one of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. It's held annually in Paris, France, in May and June. The first US Open was held in 1881, with 19 men competing. The US Open is one of the 4 Grand Slam tennis tournaments. It's held annually in New York City in August and September. The first British Open was held in 1860, with 8 golfers competing. The British Open is the oldest major golf championship. It's held annually in the United Kingdom. The first Masters tournament was held in 1934, with 72 golfers competing. The Masters is one of the 4 major golf championships. It's held annually in Augusta, Georgia, in April. The first PGA Championship was held in 1916, with 32 golfers competing. The PGA Championship is one of the 4 major golf championships. It's held annually in The first Kentucky Derby was held in 1875, with 15 horses competing. The Kentucky Derby is a prestigious horse race held annually in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the first leg of the Triple Crown. The first Preakness Stakes was held in 1873, with 7 horses competing. The Preakness is a prestigious horse race held annually in Baltimore, Maryland. It's the second leg of the Triple Crown. The first Belmont Stakes was held in 1867, with 4 horses competing. The Belmont is a prestigious horse race held annually in New York. It's the third leg of the Triple Crown. The first Daytona 500 was held in 1959, with 59 cars competing. The Daytona 500 is a prestigious NASCAR race, held annually in Florida. It's one of the most famous races in the United States. The first Monaco Grand Prix was held in 1929, with 16 cars competing. The Monaco Grand Prix is a prestigious Formula One race, held annually in Monaco. It's one of the most famous races in the world. The first Le Mans 24 Hours was held in 1923, with 33 cars competing. The Le Mans is a prestigious endurance race, held annually in France. It's one of the most famous races in the world. Let's turn to the strange science of numbers and time, the systems we use to measure the unmeasurable. A jiffy is an actual unit of time, equal to 1/100th of a second in computing contexts. In physics, it's sometimes defined as the time it takes for light to travel a femtometer. The term is used colloquially to mean a very short moment, but it has a precise scientific definition. It's a small but real unit of measurement. The atomic clock is so accurate that it would take millions of years to lose a single second. These clocks use the vibrations of atoms, typically cesium or rubidium, to keep time with extraordinary precision. They are the standard for international timekeeping, used to coordinate everything from GPS to financial transactions. The accuracy is a testament to modern physics and engineering. The number googolplex is 10 to the power of a googol, which is 10 to the power of 100. That means it's a 1 followed by a googol zeros, a number so large it cannot be written out in full. The number is far larger than the number of atoms in the observable universe. It's a purely mathematical concept, with no practical application. The leap second is occasionally added to coordinated universal time to keep it aligned with the Earth's rotation. The Earth's rotation is gradually slowing, so the leap second compensates for this variation. The addition is made at irregular intervals, usually every few years. It's a small adjustment that keeps our clocks in sync with the planet. The year is actually 365.2422 days, which is why we have a leap year every 4 years. The extra quarter of a day accumulates over time, and the leap year adds an extra day to correct the calendar. The system was established by Julius Caesar in 45 BCE and refined by Pope Gregory the Terex in 1582. It's a remarkably accurate system, given its age. The numbers on a clock are arranged in a circle because of the sun's path across the sky, which was the original timekeeping method. The sun appears to move in a circular arc, so the clock face was designed to reflect that motion. The arrangement of numbers is arbitrary but traditional. It's a convention that has persisted for centuries. AM and PM stand for ante meridiem and post meridiem, meaning before midday and after midday. The terms are Latin and have been used for centuries. They divide the day into two 12-hour periods. The system is simple and widely understood. A score is 20 years, famously used in the Gettysburg Address. The term comes from the Old English scoru, meaning a notch or a tally mark. It's a traditional unit of measurement, though it's now rarely used. The phrase 7 years is one of the most famous uses of the term. The millennium is technically 1,000 years, but the year 2000 was the end of the second millennium, not the beginning of the third. The third millennium began on January 1, 2001, because there was no year zero. This confusion led to debates about when to celebrate the new millennium. The number 7 is often considered lucky, but psychologically it's just a random guess when people are asked to pick a number. The preference for 7 is cultural and has no inherent basis. It's a common choice in many societies, but it's not universally preferred. The study of time measurement is called horology, which includes the design and construction of timekeeping devices. Horologists study clocks, watches, and other timepieces, understanding their mechanisms and history. The field combines art and science, with a focus on precision and craftsmanship. The first sundial was used in ancient Egypt, marking the passage of time with a shadow cast by the sun. The sundial was a simple but effective timepiece, used for thousands of years. It's the oldest known timekeeping device, predating mechanical clocks by millennia. The first mechanical clock was developed in Europe in the 13th century, using a weight-driven mechanism. The clock was a significant advancement, allowing for accurate timekeeping in all weather conditions. The technology spread rapidly, with clocks becoming a common feature in towns and cities. The mechanical clock revolutionized timekeeping. The first wristwatch was designed for military use in the 19th century, allowing soldiers to tell time while keeping their hands free. The wristwatch was initially considered a feminine accessory, but it gained popularity during World War I. It's now a common accessory for both men and women. The wristwatch has evolved significantly over time. The first digital clock was developed in the 20th century, using electronic components to display time. The digital clock was a significant advancement, offering precise time reading without the need for analog hands. The technology is now ubiquitous, appearing in everything from alarm clocks to smartphones. The concept of zero is a fundamental mathematical idea, representing the absence of quantity. The zero was developed independently in several cultures, but it was the Indian mathematicians who first used it as a placeholder. The concept was essential for the development of algebra and calculus. Zero is now a basic part of mathematics. The number pi is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, approximately 3.14159. Pi is an irrational number, meaning it cannot be expressed as a simple fraction. It's one of the most important constants in mathematics, appearing in geometry, trigonometry, and calculus. The number e is a mathematical constant, approximately 2.71828, used in exponential growth and decay. It's an irrational number, like pi, and it's essential for understanding natural phenomena. The constant appears in many areas of mathematics and science. The number I is the imaginary unit, defined as the square root of -1. It's used in complex numbers, which are essential for many areas of physics and engineering. The imaginary unit is a fundamental concept in advanced mathematics. The Fibonacci sequence is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the two preceding ones, starting with 0 and 1. The sequence appears in nature, art, and mathematics. The ratio of consecutive Fibonacci numbers approaches the golden ratio. The golden ratio is approximately 1.618, often denoted by the Greek letter phi. It appears in geometry, art, and architecture, and is often associated with aesthetic beauty. The ratio is found in the proportions of the Parthenon, the pyramids, and many other structures. The first known use of the decimal system was in ancient India, where it was used for mathematical calculations. The system spread to the Arab world and then to Europe, where it became the standard. The decimal system is now used worldwide, with place values based on powers of 10. The binary system uses only 2 digits, 0 and 1, which is the basis of modern computing. The system was developed by Gottfried Leibniz in the 17th century, but it was not widely used until the 20th century. Binary is the foundation of all digital technology. The hexadecimal system uses 16 digits, from 0 to 15, represented by the numbers 0 to 9 and the letters A to F. The system is used in computing, often for representing colors and memory addresses. It's a convenient shorthand for binary. The base 60 system was used by the ancient Babylonians, and it's the reason we have 60 minutes in an hour and 360 degrees in a circle. The system was based on the number 60, which is divisible by many factors. It's a legacy of ancient mathematics. The first known use of the abacus was in ancient Mesopotamia, where it was used for counting and arithmetic. The abacus is a simple but effective tool, still used in some parts of the world. It's a precursor to modern calculators. The first known use of the slide rule was in the 17th century, using logarithmic scales for multiplication and division. The slide rule was a common tool for engineers and scientists until the advent of electronic calculators. It's a classic example of analog computing. The first known use of the calculating machine was by Blaise Pascal in the 17th century. using gears and wheels to perform arithmetic. The machine was a significant advancement, paving the way for modern computers. It was a mechanical calculator. The first known use of the computer was in the 20th century, with the development of electronic computers. The first computers were room-sized machines, used for military and scientific calculations. The technology has advanced rapidly, with computers now being ubiquitous. The first known use of the Internet was in the 1960s as a military and academic network. The Internet has grown into a global network, connecting billions of devices. It's one of the most significant technological developments in history. The first known use of the smartphone was in the 2000s, combining a phone with a computer. The smartphone has become an essential tool used for communication, information, and entertainment. It's a transformative technology. The first known use of the atomic clock was in the 1950s, providing precise time measurement. The atomic clock is the standard for international timekeeping, used for many applications. It's a testament to the precision of modern physics. The first known use of the quartz clock was in the 1920s, using a vibrating quartz crystal to keep time. The quartz clock is more accurate than mechanical clocks and is used in many everyday devices. It's a common timekeeping technology. The first known use of the pendulum clock was in the 17th century, using the regular swing of a pendulum to keep time. The pendulum clock was a significant advancement, improving accuracy significantly. The first known use of the hourglass was in the 14th century, using sand to measure time. The hourglass was a simple but effective timepiece, used for navigation and cooking. It's a classic timekeeping device. The first known use of the water clock was in ancient Egypt, using water to measure time. The water clock was a simple but effective device, used for thousands of years. The first known use of the candle clock was in ancient China, using the burning of a candle to measure time. The candle clock was a simple but effective device, used for timekeeping at night. The first known use of the incense clock was in ancient China, using the burning of incense to measure time. The incense clock was a simple but effective timepiece, often used for meditation and ceremonies. The first known use of the oil lamp clock was in ancient China, using the burning of oil to measure time. The oil lamp clock was a simple but effective device. The first known use of the astrolabe was in ancient Greece, used for astronomical calculations and timekeeping. The astrolabe was a sophisticated instrument used for navigation and astronomy. The first known use of the sextant was in the 18th century, used for navigation and astronomical measurements. The sextant was an essential tool for seafarers. The first known use of the chronometer was in the 18th century, used for precise timekeeping at sea. The chronometer was a significant advancement for navigation. The first known use of the atomic clock was in the 1950s, as noted earlier. The atomic clock is the most accurate timekeeping device ever made. The first known use of the cesium clock was in the 1950s, using cesium atoms for timekeeping. The cesium clock is a standard for international time. The first known use of the rubidium clock was in the 20th century, using rubidium atoms for timekeeping. The rubidium clock is used in many applications. The first known use of the hydrogen maser was in the 20th century, using hydrogen atoms for timekeeping. The hydrogen maser is one of the most accurate timekeeping devices. The first known use of the optical clock was in the 21st century, using optical frequencies for timekeeping. The optical clock is even more accurate than the atomic clock. It's a state-of-the-art timekeeping technology. Let's turn to the quiet history of weather forecasting, how we learned to predict the skies, often incorrectly. The first weather forecast was published in the London Times in 1861, using observations from telegraph stations to predict conditions. The forecast was rudimentary, often wrong, but it marked the beginning of modern meteorology. The practice spread quickly, with other newspapers soon publishing their own forecasts. A nor'easter is a storm that travels up the east coast of the United States, named for the direction of the wind. The wind blows from the northeast, bringing heavy rain, snow, and coastal flooding. These storms are most common in winter and spring, and they can cause significant damage. The name is a simple but descriptive term for a powerful weather event. The dew point is the temperature at which air becomes saturated, forming dew. When the air cools to the dew point, moisture condenses on surfaces. This is why you see dew on grass in the morning, after the temperature has dropped overnight. The dew point is a key measure of humidity, indicating how much moisture is in the air. Thunder is the sound caused by the rapid expansion of air heated by lightning. The lightning bolt heats the air to about 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, causing it to expand explosively. The expansion creates a shock wave, which we hear as thunder. The delay between lightning and thunder tells you how far away the storm is. The average tornado moves at about 30 miles per hour, but some can travel over 70 miles per hour. Tornadoes are violent rotating columns of air, extending from thunderstorms to the ground. They can cause catastrophic damage, with wind speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. The speed of movement varies widely, making them unpredictable. The rain shadow effect describes why one side of a mountain is wet and the other is dry. As moist air rises over a mountain, it cools and releases precipitation on the windward side. The air then descends on the leeward side, warming and drying out. This is why deserts often form on the leeward side of mountain ranges. The highest temperature ever recorded on Earth was 134 degrees Fahrenheit in Death Valley, California, in 1913. The reading is the highest reliably recorded temperature, though some other readings have been disputed. Death Valley is one of the hottest places on Earth, with extreme summer temperatures. The lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth was -128.6 degrees Fahrenheit in Antarctica at the Vostok Station in 1983. The temperature is the lowest ever measured, a testament to the extreme cold of the Antarctic interior. The station is located at high altitude and far from the coast, conditions that contribute to the cold. The eye of a hurricane is calm because it is the center of low pressure where air descends and warms. The eye is typically about 20 to 40 miles wide, surrounded by the eye wall, where the strongest winds occur. The calmness of the eye is a deceptive feature, with the most dangerous conditions just outside. It's a paradox of these powerful storms. The polar vortex is a real, permanent area of low pressure that sits over the poles, containing cold air. The vortex is stronger in winter and can shift southward, bringing extreme cold to lower latitudes. The term has become common in recent years, used to describe cold air outbreaks. It's a natural phenomenon that has been studied for decades. The study of weather is called meteorology, which examines atmospheric conditions and their effects. Meteorologists use data from satellites, radar, and weather stations to forecast conditions. The field has advanced significantly with the development of computer models and remote sensing. It's a complex and evolving science. The first barometer was invented by Evangelista Torricelli in 1643, using mercury to measure atmospheric pressure. The barometer was a significant advancement, allowing for the measurement of air pressure. It's still used today, though digital barometers are now common. The first thermometer was invented by Galileo Galilei in the 17th century, using the expansion and contraction of air to measure temperature. The thermometer was a simple but effective device. Modern thermometers use various methods, including mercury and digital sensors. The first anemometer was invented in the 15th century, used to measure wind speed. The anemometer is an essential tool for meteorologists, providing data for forecasts. Modern anemometers use electronic sensors and are often mounted on weather stations. The first hygrometer was invented in the 15th century, used to measure humidity. The hygrometer was a simple device using a hair or other material that expands with moisture. Modern hygrometers use electronic sensors, providing precise humidity readings. The first weather satellite was launched in 1960, providing images of cloud cover from space. The satellite revolutionized weather forecasting, allowing for the observation of large-scale weather systems. It's now a standard tool for meteorologists. The first weather radar was developed in the 1940s, using radio waves to detect precipitation. The radar was originally developed for military purposes, but it was quickly adapted for weather forecasting. It's an essential tool for tracking storms and predicting their paths. The first hurricane warning was issued in the 19th century, using telegraph stations to relay information. The warning was issued in Cuba, where hurricanes are common. The practice spread to other regions, saving lives and property. The first tornado warning was issued in the 20th century, using radar and observation to detect tornadoes. The warnings are now issued by the National Weather Service in the United States, using advanced technology. The first blizzard warning was issued in the 19th century, using telegraph reports to predict severe winter storms. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, using computer models and observations. The first flood warning was issued in the 20th century, using river gauges and rainfall data to predict flooding. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping communities prepare for potential floods. The first heat wave warning was issued in the 20th century, using temperature data to predict dangerous heat. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, advising people to take precautions. The first cold wave warning was issued in the 20th century, using temperature data to predict dangerous cold. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, advising people to take precautions. The first drought warning was issued in the 20th century, using precipitation data to predict dry conditions. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping farmers and communities prepare. The first fog warning was issued in the 20th century, using visibility data to predict poor conditions. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping drivers and pilots avoid accidents. The first ice storm warning was issued in the 20th century, using temperature and precipitation data to predict freezing rain. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, advising people to take precautions. The first tsunami warning was issued in the 20th century, using seismic data to predict tsunamis. The warnings are now issued by national warning systems, helping coastal communities prepare. The first avalanche warning was issued in the 20th century, using snowpack data to predict avalanches. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping skiers and mountain communities stay safe. The first volcanic ash warning was issued in the 20th century, using satellite data to track ash plumes. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping aviation avoid hazards. The first space weather warning was issued in the 20th century, using solar data to predict geomagnetic storms. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping protect satellites and power grids. The first air quality warning was issued in the 20th century, using pollution data to predict poor air quality. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, advising people to limit outdoor activities. The first UV index warning was issued in the 20th century, using solar data to predict ultraviolet radiation. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, advising people to protect their skin. The first pollen warning was issued in the 20th century, using plant data to predict pollen levels. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping allergy sufferers. The first frost warning was issued in the 19th century, using temperature data to predict freezing conditions. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping farmers protect crops. The first hail warning was issued in the 20th century, using radar to detect hail-producing storms. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping people take shelter. The first wind warning was issued in the 20th century, using wind speed data to predict dangerous winds. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, advising people to secure loose objects. The first dust storm warning was issued in the 20th century, using visibility data to predict dust storms. The warnings are now issued by National Weather Services, helping drivers avoid accidents. The first wildfire warning was issued in the 20th century, using weather data to predict fire conditions. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping communities prepare for potential fires. The first tropical storm warning was issued in the 20th century, using satellite data to predict tropical cyclones. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping coastal communities prepare. The first monsoon warning was issued in the 20th century, using rainfall data to predict monsoon onset. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping farmers and communities prepare. The first El Niño warning was issued in the 20th century, using ocean temperature data to predict the climate pattern. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping communities prepare for its effects. The first La Niña warning was issued in the 20th century, using ocean temperature data to predict the climate pattern. The warnings are now issued by national agencies, helping communities prepare for its effects. The first drought monitor was established in the 20th century, using precipitation and soil moisture data to track drought. The monitor is now used by national agencies to assess drought conditions. The first soil moisture sensor was developed in the 20th century, used to measure moisture in the ground. The sensor is an essential tool for agriculture and meteorology. The first snowpack sensor was developed in the 20th century, used to measure snow depth and water content. The sensor is an essential tool for water resource management. The first stream gauge was developed in the 19th century, used to measure water levels in rivers. The gauge is an essential tool for flood forecasting and water management. The first tide gauge was developed in the 19th century, used to measure sea levels. The gauge is an essential tool for coastal management and navigation. The first weather buoy was deployed in the 20th century, used to collect oceanographic and meteorological data. The buoy is an essential tool for marine forecasting. The first weather balloon was launched in the 19th century, used to measure atmospheric conditions aloft. The balloon is an essential tool for meteorology, providing data from the upper atmosphere. The first weather rocket was launched in the 20th century, used to measure atmospheric conditions at high altitudes. The rocket is an essential tool for atmospheric research. The first weather aircraft was used in the 20th century, flying into storms to collect data. The aircraft is an essential tool for hurricane research and forecasting. The first weather drone was used in the 21st century, collecting data from remote locations. The drone is an emerging tool for meteorology, providing data from areas that are difficult to access. By now, most of you have probably drifted off. That was the goal. If you are still here, let this be the last thing you remember. The word goodbye is a contraction of God be with you, but in its modern usage, it just means see you later, sleep well. The world will still be here when you wake up.